Brian, you want to welcome? Who wants to welcome?
We just did an intro. We don't need it. We don't need a fucking welcome.
We don't need a
anymore. That's
welcome.
why I recorded that. So we didn't have to go through all this.
My name is Attila. This
I'm
is Brian.
They saw
that's
that
right.
in the intro, so we don't need to do that.
Well, no, I don't know if they saw that.
Okay.
We're finally on live. I hope we're on live. I think we're on live. And I hope you guys heard the intro.
Yeah.
And
we could go back to the preview player and see it.
We have Mike AUBRECHT on standby, so this may work out fantastically, or it may work like completely shit. So we're going to see what happens. You want to hit your mom up and let her know?
I could go onto my phone and look up the stream and listen to it as you talk.
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Look. That's how we roll. We're completely unprofessional, and that's just how we do things. And you're gonna have to. Well, where is my ABC show? In our typical unprofessional fashion here. There we go. All right. It's opening up. So we're gonna get to all the top stories for this week. We're going to keep that kind of short, though, because like I said, we have Mike on standby, and I'm very excited to get to talking with him because Mike and I have known each other, 20-some years now. I don't know. I feel like I've known the guy forever. And he does everything. He's Mr. Everything, but we'll get to him in a minute. First, we're going to, and remember, if you are not seeing the show live or you are seeing it live, you want to tell your friends, you want to check it out later, you can always go to my personal website at attiladomos.com, and it is there. We stream all the shows there. What? Are we on? Is it running? What? Is it working?
Yeah.
All right, good.
It also picked up like 15 seconds before we started everything.
We're unprofessional, I told you.
Oh, man. No, it's funny because I play it, and if you listen, hold on.
Well, I don't know if people want to watch us doing this.
Oh, I don't care.
That's right. It's our show. What are we looking at?
If we,
well, I'm going to add something to this thing here. Let's see. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. You guys got to hear all that. Beautiful. That's how the madness is behind the scenes
but
here.
But then the intro comes in, and it sounds perfectly fine.
Awesome. Well, okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so you go out and talk for 1 second while I add some text or something.
Tell
people how your week was. Don't sing. Nobody wants to hear you sing. You're a guitar player. Why do guitar players always think they can sing? I don't understand.
Because we can.
Yeah.
And we're the best
in
at
your
it.
own mind.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to talk about. So this week.
Yeah. What happened to you?
We recorded the intro.
Yes, you did. You did a fine job. You and Csaba.
I'm not into like looking at news articles and stuff like you are.
Well,
I don't do that. I just kind of twiddle my thumbs, and I watch a lot of House because I finally finished watching Breaking Bad.
Oh, I love Breaking Bad. That was a fantastic show. I missed that one. In fact, Better Call Saul is starting, I think, in like a month or two. It's
yeah,
right
I heard
around
about
the corner.
that. In fact, I think I heard about that from you or Chubb.
Probably.
Someone.
But yeah, it's starting up. Why is the? Oh, let's see. Let me put this up to the top. Move top. Or maybe the font's all in black. That's why I can't see it. This is starting off as a really bad show so far.
It happens every week.
It does. Okay, I
don't see what's wrong with that.
I give up on this one. Okay, so here's the deal.
Makes it the ABC show.
I guess, yeah. So if you just want to see any of this stuff, just go to my website at Attila Domos. That's 2 T's, 1 L. AttilaDomos.com. Right? Yeah. And it's all there.
I like
so,
that.
What? Hey, stay out of my frame. This kid, you know what I mean? Again, guitar players. So yeah, so that intro was kind of fun. Csaba and Brian threw down some music, and then they're like, "Here, do something with it." So threw together the video.
We threw in a secret code.
There's all
in
kinds
there.
of little secret stuff in there.
Don't give it away.
No,
but
I'm not.
if you figure it out, it's
you
very
win
immature.
Brian's hat.
Yes. You're not going to win this hat.
No?
I'm not going to give it to anybody. But
well, in theory, you win the hat.
If you figure out the secret immature thing that's in the intro, it's strictly in the music part. If you figure that out, then you win a happy little warm feeling on the pit of your stomach.
Nice. So, anyways,
very well sought after by many
yes,
people.
Yes. Well, it's the pursuit of happiness. That's exactly what it is. They win the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness. So anyway, so I was checking out this one article, right? And it was Rocket Man, this dude in France, hit 333 kilometers an hour on his bicycle. They put a lying on top of his bicycle. I don't know if you guys seen this or not. It is really cool. Lying on top of his bicycle with 3 rocket engines attached to its shiny frame, a French daredevil has broken a world record covering a quarter of a mile in less than 7 seconds, beating a Ferrari F430 and hitting a top velocity of 333 kilometers, which is 207 miles per hour. Francois Gissy, I guess that's how you say his name, blasted off to glory at a motor racing circuit in Le Châtelet, France, achieving a top speed, again, of 207 miles per hour in just 4.8 seconds. Let me tell you, I watched the video.
Dude, how do you even survive that?
Well, first of all, he was laying on his stomach.
Okay.
He was like he was doing this Superman style. But what was funny is, like, here's the guy and here's the Ferrari. And they started at the same time, and it was like this. It's like before the Ferrari even went 5 feet, the thing was like halfway to the finish
video?
line. Yeah.
Can we play it?
So, well, no.
No?
No,
Let's not even go there.
I'm not going there. But I will post a link, as always. The link will be there, and you can go, or you can, if you want to see right now, just YouTube, Rocket Man hits 336 kilometers an hour on bicycle. It'll come up, and it is insane. It's totally nuts. I mean, the only thing that sucked about it is he had a camera set up. He had like a GoPro or something, but he had it set up on the back, facing the back. So it's like sitting on a bicycle backwards and watching everything go away, instead of putting one like on a helmet or something like that. I want to see front. Why not? You know what I mean? But if you're only gonna do one, I'm more interested in that view. So, but yeah, it was crazy, and I immediately went on Facebook and I put it out there for the whole world to know that if they ever want to test this out on a hand cycle, I'm the man. I am the guy. I will do this. I will. Please allow me to do this. I will strap myself into a hand cycle.
Just throw some rockets on your hand cycle.
Yeah, but I need 3
Just buy
rockets
them
that
down
guy
at the
has.
thrift store.
Maybe what am I going to do? Go down a high-level bridge? See if a cop can catch me.
Just go up one of the hills.
Yeah. Oh,
take off.
Just land somewhere in the middle of Squirrel Hill. So anyway, moving
on. I wouldn't call it landing.
Yeah, I'll do something.
Maybe.
I'll do something. So they got this tiny scallop-shaped robots now that they created. It is really cool. These things can literally get inside your body. What was that movie? It was like a 60s movie. Yeah. They move. They kind of look like scallops, and they move like this. It's wild. A team led by Professor Pierre Fischer from the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems and in Stuttgart, Germany, has developed an artificial micro swimmer called microscallops, which can swim through viscous, yeah, they're angry fluids. Through viscous fluids by opening and closing.
I wouldn't want to get in a fight with fluid. I think it could fuck you up, because it can just...
What was that one?
Well, it could drown you.
There's that one evil villain. Really, it was a villain.
What are you gonna do?
No. You know who it was? The Wonder Twins. You remember the Wonder Twins? Or are you too young for them?
Too young for that.
There was like a girl and a boy. They were twins. Mike knows what I'm talking about. And they would like touch rings and say, Wonder Twin powers activate. And then the girl would always turn into some kind of an animal. And he would turn into something water related, which, like, whatever his name was like into a waterfall or into a block of ice, or you don't have a lot of options with water. You can either be solid, liquid, or gas, right? That's it. So I guess those are options, but I'd rather be like whatever animal.
Can't be a solid water.
Well, solid form is ice.
Yeah, I guess.
Liquid form is
more
water.
of an amorphous.
Yeah, but I mean those are the three.
That's true.
Forms of water.
Solid water is ice. It's no longer
solid.
Water.
Yeah.
Frozen water.
Well, we just call it ice.
Whatever.
It could be water.
But if you mix water with cornstarch.
All you did is you cooled it down.
Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't.
Mix water with cornstarch?
No, what happens?
Fucking awesome. It becomes
you drink it,
amorphous
or what do you do with
solid. It? No, that's disgusting. It becomes
that's what I'm asking. What do you do?
Like you can dip your hands in it, and you got to get kind of the mixture right, and then like as it's like dripping down, you can like break it off. It's really weird.
Really? That's pretty wild.
It's really interesting.
That sounds like something. Who was that old guy back in the day would do? Again, I need Mike for this one. I feel like Mike and I could have a better conversation right now because there's a lot of this back in the day shit going on here.
Well, you can bring him on whenever you want.
Yeah, we will.
He's right there on standby.
He is on standby. Yes. So anyway, so these scallops, right? According to the scientists, they don't have a particular purpose for it. They just design these things. So and in hopes that medical people will come along and they can use it. It's actually a really cool idea because they're talking about being able to use these things to go like inside your veins. You like inject it and it could go in and repair arteries, whatnot, right from the inside. Of course, that also leaves the military option, which always seems to win out.
Mhm.
of, now you got something that you could drop in a thing of water for somebody, a drop or two, and they could go inside and give them a heart attack or a stroke or something. So there are the practical applications for this scallopy looking thing. But it's neat.
Would that
Definitely
be
look that up.
biological warfare? I mean, because it's a
No,
robot.
that's scientific warfare. That's
Scientific warfare. I like that.
scientific warfare.
It's a good band name.
Kind. That is actually pretty cool. I meant to tell you, what was I watching?
Speaking of scientific warfare, there goes a helicopter.
Yes. There were a lot of them today. I don't know what was going on around here.
I don't know, but it's really bassy in the headphones. It's
hey, Mike
very
likes
annoying.
that. He likes bass.
Yeah, it's good. It's all about that bass.
That's right. I lost my track of thought.
Oh, okay. I'll
Anyway,
keep talking
whatever.
while you're. You're done
All
now.
right. Yeah. So I do want to touch on this Fort Lauderdale homelessness thing.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I did hear about
Yes.
in my non-news looking at.
Yes, it's ridiculous to me that this war on the poor that is being done in this country, and it's easy to pick on them.
War on the Poor. That's another good band name.
Yeah, but unfortunately, too many of these cats in Congress and et cetera, and mayors and different cities lobby on this shit, and they're easy. They're defenseless. They don't have money. They can't defend themselves, so they make up all these laws. I mean, let me give you an idea here, okay? And everybody knows about Fort Lauderdale, so I don't feel like I really need to go into detail about it anymore. I mean, I like to bitch slap that mayor down there for doing what he's doing, but whatever. But these are some other places now. And by the way, I don't want to let the cops off the hook on that one either down in Florida, because I feel that you hear the excuse all the time that he was just following orders. Right? You hear this all the time. It's
stupid.
always said about the Nazis, like, well, they were just following orders, which they technically were. They were just following orders, but
if they're
then people
bullshit
blamed
orders,
them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Right. So at some point, if you're a cop or a soldier or somebody, and you're getting orders to do harm, do something wrong, do something that you just know is not right, you got to make a stand. You make a stand. And I'll give you an example, okay? They tried the same shit in Columbia, South Carolina. Here's city council members in Columbia, South Carolina, and there's a whole group of these scumbags. It wasn't even just like one guy, like a mayor or something. The entire city council in South Carolina, concerned that the city was becoming a magnet for homeless people, passed an ordinance giving the homeless the option to either relocate or get arrested. The council later rescinded the ordinance after backlash from police officers. So the cops were like, you know what, this is bullshit. We're going to go out there and
That's
get
very
real
rare.
criminals.
That's very rare for a cop
Well,
to not be an asshole.
Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I've never looked at the things, but what I'm saying is it's happened here. So it should happen in other places as well. When you know that your superiors are giving you an order that is wrong. And I know it goes against everything that the military preaches, but we're not in a freaking military, okay? If I want to follow a chain of command, I'll be born into like a military country. And I know that we're headed that way. I know that we're headed that way, but we're not there yet. So, yeah, right. Yeah, I'll be one of the first people there probably.
Ebola.
I hope they have some kind of like a handicapped area in FEMA for people like me.
Ramps.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't get into the camp because there's no ramp.
To the FEMA camps.
But here's another one. Right, last year Tampa, Florida, which which had the most homeless people for a mid-sized city, passed an ordinance allowing police officers to arrest anyone they saw sleeping in public or storing personal property in public. The city followed up with a ban on panhandling downtown and other locations around the city. Philadelphia took a somewhat different approach with a law banning the feeding of homeless people on the city parkland. Religious groups objected to the ban and announced that they would not obey it. So that's good. People in City of Brotherly Love, they're like, you know what? Right here.
That's just fucking stupid. Like, what? Why does that law exist? What's the reason?
Again, because number one, you can fill prisons with homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody misses them. I'll give you an example. Okay, this happened here in Pittsburgh, and it was very shady to me. I don't know if they actually caught the right guy or not, but this happened under Murphy's leadership. So we're probably going back a solid 10 years. There was a kid who was killed in Northside, and I tell you what, within like 2 days, they found the guy. Supposedly it was a homeless guy who did it. They found him, tried him, and threw his ass in prison like within a week. I've never seen justice move like that, that quickly. It was just ridiculous. And
he got his right to a speedy trial.
Yeah, that he got. but
Can't complain.
But But how easy is it to do that to somebody who's completely defenseless? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Better call Saul.
But yeah, exactly. But here's my thing: is like the real killer may still be out there, and I'm not saying they didn't get the right guy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it happened so quickly that I don't know. And of course, I believe it was also an election year, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, really, because shit always happens very quickly in an election year.
Yeah, I know. Nothing ever happens until
election
a week
year.
before the fucking election,
Right.
And then people do things.
Exactly. So in Raleigh, North Carolina,
pass legislation.
Raleigh, North Carolina took the steps of asking religious groups to stop their long-standing practice of feeding the homeless in downtown parks on weekends. Religious leaders announced that they would risk arrest rather than stop doing it. Manteca, California, banned homeless. Now, this is really messed up. Manteca, California, banned homeless from setting up shelter even on private property with the permission of the owner. How? It's my property, okay? Now, I know that technically you're not allowed to make changes to your property without, getting a permit and all that shit. But I mean, we're really entering bad areas here, bad grounds, with these laws. And there are other solutions.
Do people actually vote that law into?
Well, city council members do. So.
I mean, no, like actual people.
Yeah, I mean, they're real human beings.
No,
or are you talking about general public?
They're reptilian shapeshifters. That's what they are.
Well, some of them might be.
Making fucking shit like that.
But here's my whole point on this thing,
I mean,
right?
effing S,
here's the thing
like
with
T.
this. All right, look. There are better practical solutions, okay, other than just going out and beating up defenseless homeless people, throwing them into prisons. Utah, for example, and I would have played the video, but I do not want to mess with it, okay? But you can go, there's a film company called Brave New Films, and it's a video they have called Over-Criminalized. Like I said, I was going to play it, but I don't want to mess with anything. And what's really interesting is Utah. Utah is the state that's getting a lot of things right, quite the opposite of Florida. First of all, Utah.
Like polygamy. Yeah. They're definitely right about that.
Yeah. No, believe me, you don't want more than one wife. That's idiotic. So, but here's what I'm getting at. All right. First of all, they got it right with the assisted suicide. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to die, if you're in severe pain, you can't take it anymore, why the hell should you be on meds, kept alive, just so pharmaceutical companies can make an extra buck or two off your, suffering? That's BS. So Utah allows that. Now, what they did here is they sat down, unlike most of these other mayors that we're talking about, who just want a quick solution that is not even a solution. It's like sweeping shit under the rug, right? What they did in Utah is they actually sat down and looked at the numbers, and they realized that to keep a homeless person in prison and to with the emergency services, taking them to the hospital, etc., for this and that, it's $19,000 a year to house one. So what they did is they figured out that for $11,000 a year, okay, they can take a guy, give him a place, give him shelter. They build these really nice apartment-looking things, right, with small little individual rooms, and a homeless person can go there, and he doesn't have to get off drugs. He doesn't have to stop drinking. He doesn't even have to go ahead and try to, improve his life if he doesn't want to. And they hook him up with a small place to live, some food, and a counselor, a personal counselor who will work with that guy. If he does decide to want to get his shit together, or he wants to get off drugs, or whatever positive changes he wants to make, the counselor is there to work with him. And that costs $11,000 a year. We're keeping people out of prison, and we're actually giving people a chance. And here's what happened. They've had like a 70 or somewhere between a 78% success rate with this. And in fact, they're actually on track to by 2015
I think
even have it wiped clean.
I think this only gives the big wigs, the leaders of this world, one option.
What's that?
They must destroy Utah.
Yeah. That's where the next Ebola is going to land.
That's the only option left.
But I mean,
hey, these people that are in control over there are actually doing things right. We can't have that.
Yeah,
We need more money.
No, exactly. So
78% success rate.
So my whole thing is like,
I wish that was a little bit higher, just so it would be that much more.
But 78 is
that's
good.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Even
if it was like 25%.
Compared to like 1 or 2% success rate the old way. You know what I mean? So
0%, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one I want to touch on real quick.
Here's the big one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Speaking of those people you were talking about, JP Morgan. Okay, one of the world's biggest banks. JP Morgan paid $9 billion to keep one witness from testifying. Chase was accused. Chase, by the way, is owned by J.P. Morgan. Chase was accused of buying loans which they knew were defective and reselling them to investors without telling them what they knew about the problem with the loans. Essentially, they were lemon loans that they were selling, and they knew about this, okay? So there's this woman, Elaine Fleischman, and I was going to put her picture up, but again, I don't want to mess with anything here. Elaine Fleischman used to
Coward.
work. Yeah, exactly. Worked in the middle of Chase's mortgage buying operations as kind of a quality control officer. She worked in the compliance and diligence department of the bank. So she recognized.
What a joke.
Yeah, it's kind of a oxymoron.
That's a department. Like, what?
Yeah. Compliance and diligence. So it's easy to comply and be diligent if you're making up the rules. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So she recognized that the problem with many of Chase's loans and warned her superiors, both written and oral. I mean, she was calling people, she was talking to people.
Said oral.
Yeah, exactly. But they ignored her, and eventually they fired her as a whistleblower, right? So she got involved with the feds, and since she knew everything, J.P. Morgan had no choice but to pay the $9 billion fine. But here's where it gets interesting, okay? J.P. Morgan didn't actually have to reach into their wallet and pay this. Okay, $9 billion for them is nothing. They made trillions, literally, off the entire housing bubble scandal. While people were losing their pensions and their 401ks and shit, J.P. Morgan was just raking it in, man. They were like the hungry hippos with those marbles, man. They were just sucking them in, right? So the $9 billion was already long paid for. That was just interest on shit that they already own, right? So they not only did they use our money to pay off a supposed fine, but they got in the deal that was worked out, $7 billion out of the $9 billion, which is about 80% of it, is tax deductible. It was a tax write-off for them. So essentially, they made money with the fine. I need me a deal like that. I need me a deal like that big time. That was a hell of a deal.
I'm trying to think of a good metaphor for that. Because she she tried to go to someone higher to tell them,
listen.
But then they're just on the same side as the other person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were all in.
I saw that in an episode of something, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah. And by the way, have you seen that 8-ball jacket guy in New York?
Yeah.
Who slapped the hell out of a woman
that video that
melee? Yeah. Oh, you saw it?
That
Okay.
was fucking hilarious.
That was awesome.
That guy was pretty big.
Oh, he was huge. I don't even know why anybody. He was like a big, gentle giant and shit, I mean, the woman's running her mouth. She's like, rah, rah, rah. Meanwhile, he's just standing there smiling, looking at her the whole time. I feel like I would have cold cocked her long before that. So anyway, I'm happy to announce that he got off. All charges against him were dropped.
See my comment?
The cops actually
said she should be charged.
Oh, she is. She is being charged. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, she's being charged, and so is that guy who jumped in, and a bunch of other people are getting charged, which is the way it should be, So he's off the hook.
Did this happen in Utah?
No, this one didn't.
Okay.
But you think it did because it went right. Jorge Pena is he's a 25-year-old guy, so I'm actually happy for him. The cops did the right thing. Everybody, prosecuted, everybody did the right thing there. So that's good. And for the last news of the night, this is.
Wait, did I see what I think?
Yes, you did. This comes from my friend Alyssa Wald, right?
Nice.
She's the author of Secret Lives of Married Women, which is a top seller on Amazon. She broke all kinds of records and whatnot.
We'll have her on the show eventually.
We will, yeah, eventually.
Cool.
I'll ask her. See if she wants to be on. I haven't seen her since high school, so I got to tell you, I went to high school with a lot of people who were famous. So we'll see. We'll see who we can find and dig up and who's willing to come on our totally unprofessional show. But anyway, so this story had me cracking up. Ku Klux Klan chapter now accepting Jews. So, Google. Here's the story basically. Google Inbox may still be invite only, but the Ku Klux Klan is apparently open to anyone these days. A longtime member of the KKK.
Even black people.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Perhaps the most notorious hate group in American history has branched off and founded a chapter of the white supremacist organization that reportedly welcomes Jews, gays, and blacks.
You guys can join us. We're just better than you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can join us. Just don't sit by our table. We got that table for you over there. So, but we do all agree, right, that we hate Arabs. We can still hate Arabs.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how it goes at the meeting, right? So Jews are, gays.
Jews are still technically white.
Yeah.
Black guys are pretty much white because they speak the same language as me. They don't speak
But
Hababadu.
Arabs, oh, those Arabs.
No.
We can unite to hate against them.
We're all good as long as we're not Muslim.
Right. You know, these cats crack me up. So I haven't signed up yet. In an interview with the Grand Falls Tribune, John Abar is this guy's name. The branch's founder explained he wanted to promote a more inclusive organization. White supremacy is the old Klan. White supremacy is the old Klan, he said. This is the new Klan. With blacks, Jews.
I mean, Ku Klux Klan is a really cool name. So if you can change that to something that's actually like, I mean.
But you know what the funny thing is though? Members still have to wear the hood and the sheet thing.
So are they going to be like that Chappelle episode?
Yeah. Or my buddy Kevin.
My
buddy Kevin did that. My buddy Kevin Garth. Have you met him? I don't know if you met him. He was okay. He used to work as a DJ down in like Morgantown or somewhere down in West Virginia, and he was literally like the only black guy in like 200-mile radius. So he goes to a now. Kev's a big dude. He's a big guy. I
think yeah.
He goes to a Halloween
Wasn't he
party.
here that one time?
Yeah. Right. So he goes to a Halloween party down there at a bar, dressed as a Klansman. Now this is back in like
hilarious.
this is like 1995. So it was way before Chappelle. And he's walking around. And he did say that he ran into like 2 or 3 black people who hated, they were pissed off at him wearing that shit. But he said everybody was cracking up and buying him drinks all night and shit. So anyway, so that's how these guys roll. But it still gets better, man. It's good. Yeah, this guy's all about love. He's bringing the love. Now, apparently, though, some people... Abar's chapter, the Rocky Mountain Knights, was... Here's what I love. Was started after he met with leaders of the NAACP, right? He decided that the Klan and the NAACP didn't necessarily need to be separate. Which would be a nice sentiment if the Klan wasn't fundamentally about race hate. So, yeah. But apparently this guy ran for House of Representatives in 2011, campaigning to save the white race. So,
I can't think of a better metaphor than that.
No, this guy did it all. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this article could have been a Chappelle episode. You know what I mean?
Like when I'm talking to someone about something else that's similar, I could be like, that's like the KKK welcoming black people.
Yeah,
I can't do that for this situation right now because there's nothing better than that.
No.
That's how awesome this is.
Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
So all right. So what do you say? Should we bring on Mr. Mike?
No.
Now
we should.
Okay.
Go.
Now's a good time to bring on Mr. Mike. All right. So we're going to where's my Ubu? Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
We're gonna bring on Mike Albrecht. I've known this guy forever. Fantastic dude. He does everything. I mean, literally.
I just met him today.
You did meet him today, but he's a writer. He's a musician. Well, when I met him, he was a musician and like a graphic artist, and then he left to work for Lockheed Martin. I think he left, and that was the last time I seen him. Yeah. And then that was the last time I've seen him until like MySpace. I think he and I actually hooked back up on MySpace back in like 2007. It was great to have him back in my life, and he does everything. I mean, he's an excellent drummer too. He's a great writer, historical. He writes, he just puts everything together. I'll let him explain it all to you. So hopefully you can hear him. That we're not quite sure about yet. So here he is. We're gonna bring him up. There he is, Mr. Michael Albrecht.
Let's
we gotta
unmute him.
Yes.
Of course you can't hear him.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, can we hear him yet?
Mike, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you, gentlemen?
All right. Keeping my fingers crossed. It's working so far.
Hey, I want to start off before we say anything that I am a huge fan of the Wonder Twins. And it was a bucket of water.
I forgot he was listening.
The girl would turn into an eagle, and the guy would turn into a bucket of water, and she would pick up the bucket, fly up, and dump it on people.
Yes. But she was always turning into some kind of an animal, and he was turning into something water related. You know what I mean? So,
it was the damn dumbest superpower ever invented.
Yes. What was their names? I can't remember. Do you remember their names?
The Wonder Twins.
I don't remember their names.
No. I mean, they had like. Did you ever see the Family Guy episode where they did, you may have seen it.
Oh yeah, he turns into a tampon.
You watch Family Guy? Yeah.
And then he goes into her purse.
You watch
and
Family Guy,
now we play
Mike?
the waiting game.
And now we wait. Did you ever watch Family Guy, Mike?
I catch it very infrequently. Yeah, but I'm familiar with it. It's the things that they're getting away with on network television now are because of the cartoons.
Oh, absolutely.
They're the ones they're the ones blazing that trail.
You know what though? You know what? Interesting fact. This is nothing new. If you look throughout history, puppeteers and midgets were able to do whatever they wanted to. They would make fun of the king. They would make fun of all kinds of stuff, and they were allowed to get away with this in history because the
felt like
monarchs.
In Time Bandits.
Yeah, sort of, but the monarchs wouldn't see that as a threat to them. If you and I stood up and we spoke out against them and said the same thing that the puppeteers were doing in all their acts, we would have probably got the guillotine or whatever. So that goes way back to the olden days. So, but I love it, man. I do.
I'm gonna go ahead and check and see if he's with us right here, so you guys talk.
Yes. So Mike.
A lot of people. Yes, sir. I was just going to say, a lot of people aren't aware that the longest-running cartoon series actually belongs to the Romans.
Yes.
Yes.
Still going on today.
Still going on today.
Where's this echo coming from? I'm getting mad echo.
I don't know.
You sound good on my side, guys.
Does it? Maybe the headphones.
Hang on, he hasn't talked yet.
There. Oh, okay. So, Mike, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your book. Tell us about 8 million things you do. We'll kind of go into each one by one. One by one. I do want to say that you have your own line of drumsticks, correct?
I do, actually. I have my own line of signature sticks by the wonderful people at Rich Sticks. They just came out this month,
awesome.
And they're selling very well. So it's a lifelong dream of mine to have my own signature stick, and the people at Rich Sticks were nice enough to believe in me.
Well, hey, if it's anything, if it's worth anything, I believe in you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that.
So you also...
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I was just going to say, we've known each other for 22 years. I am privileged to be the first guest on the ABC show. I'm a huge fan, and any chance that I have to hang out with musicians and talk about myself, I would never pass that up.
Actually, we have a full band here now. We got a singer,
yeah, we do,
a guitar player, and a drummer.
Guitar, yeah.
We don't need a bass player.
That's right.
Mike needs a bass.
I'm all about the bass.
He's all about the bass.
We can play the bass and the drums at the same time.
So you're
not that treble.
So let's talk about your book for a minute. Your latest venture, you co-wrote it, is that correct? Or was it yours?
Well, it was a co-authorship between me and Rich Redmond, who's the drummer for Jason Aldean. And about 3 years ago, my youngest son started to show a little bit of an interest in the drums. He actually climbed up on my kit and started playing around. And I wanted to get him some material, some teaching material. And I was just appalled at the lack of music theory out there for the younger kids, the kids that are 10 and under. And for some reason, I did a search on the internet. I saw a YouTube video of this crazy guy just beating the hell out of the set of drums. And then he stood up and he gave this sort of educational lecture. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to contact this guy and see if, he knows of any material. So I literally sent the guy an email. He replied within an hour, and within 2 hours I was on the phone with him. I did not know he was Jason Aldean's drummer. I did not know who Jason Aldean was, but I know that the guy had I know that he had a master's in music, and it was amazing how our partnership sort of has blossomed. We ended up creating this book, Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids. It's a book and a DVD. It won Best in Show at NAMM, which is the North American Music Merchants Convention. It's a bestseller in 4 countries, in Amazon, and it's being used as private instruction and classroom courseware in 9 countries right now.
That's
so.
I feel like you're way out of this show's league right now.
I told you he does a lot. You know what? It doesn't even stop there. I mean, again, we're gonna focus on this book mainly because I believe that's the main reason we're having this conversation. Other than Mike's just cool and I've known him forever.
That's the only reason we were able to get him on, because you know him personally.
That's right.
You've been like, who are these?
Who are these
jokes?
clowns? They're so unprofessional. Well, no shit. And by the way,
it's perfect.
Just so you know, Mike, I know you can't see us right now because we're unprofessional and we have no idea what we're doing. But
actually, no. You know what? I got my. I'm watching you guys stream.
Maybe that's what we're getting.
You look great.
Yeah.
Do you have the volume turned down?
Volume off.
Volume is off.
Okay.
Actually,
cool.
it is muted.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
So you can see.
So
you
here's.
can see this.
So you saw that
Well, you'll
that
see
we
that
decided.
like 30 seconds later whenever I do it.
We decided to do the show in black and white today.
Yeah.
I love it.
You're
it's
the only
very
guy in
retro.
color, so we're always just trying something different. See, here's the thing, man. It's kind of funny because normally Brian shows up about an hour or so before the show, and we're rushing like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out, how we're gonna make this work.
This
And
one actually we started relatively on time.
yeah, we did. We were only like 2
beginning was
minutes
fucked
off,
up,
man.
but-
We're only like 2 minutes off. That's better than like a half hour.
Which
like
is
it normally
weird
is.
because this was the most different that we've done so far.
Yeah, but
Because
we had
to do a bunch of
You know what though?
stuff.
This time we had 3 hours to prepare,
Yeah,
and we still
true.
didn't start on time, and we still don't know what we're doing. But the point is that
least it's
every week or every show we do something differently. So we can't ever just come in and say, okay, turn on 1, 2, 3, and go. No, it's always like, how do we do this? Okay, well let's try it this way this time. It'd be kind of like an airplane pilot. You know what I mean? Those guys, like in their sleep, they can walk in and they know what switches they have to hit and buttons they have to press.
Yeah, because I mean,
They do it over and over.
it seems so simple. Like when we got the intro video on, that it would come up normally, but everything's different and messed up each time we try into something new.
So
Well, you know what it shows? There's a reason why we're musicians and we have sound guys.
yes,
Because the sound guys know what the hell they're doing.
that's what we need.
All we got to
sound
do is
guy.
make the noise.
We need
Yeah.
a sound
We need
guy.
You need roadies.
Yes. If you know of any decent ones, hook us up. let them know that we'll feed them. That's the best we can do.
Pretty good though.
we can feed them. I got these things I can feed them.
Rice Krispies.
Love these things. In fact, I'm tempted to eat one now because I'm starving. So, at any rate,
We should eat, why don't we eat before?
because we didn't have time. Plus, I'm like
True.
blocked in here. You know what's kind of funny is
I didn't
I'm
even
sitting in
like
my
eat at my
wheelchair.
house.
I'm sitting in my wheelchair, and Brian has my old wheelchair. So
Yeah.
we're both in wheelchairs.
We're both.
But he's not really in a wheelchair. He's one of them phony
Yeah.
wheelchair guys. Ooh, he's a phony. Boo, that guy. So Mike, tell me a little bit. Like, how did you get into writing? I know, like I said, last time I saw you before, like our recent ventures.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Yeah, every now and then we get some crazy echo. You know what? That might be through the Ubu. Maybe that's what's creating it sometimes, trying to catch up stream. I don't know. I'm just making shit up. So, Mike.
How loud are your headphones turned up?
No, he's good. Okay, you can
I'm
still hear
good.
us, right?
Yeah, sound
Okay,
good.
good. All right. So as I started the story, you and I kind of, when did we? You left Pittsburgh. I want to say about 94 or 95, right? You and Tracy and one baby. You guys
It was
left.
one.
Baby. You guys left and you moved to. What was it? Did you go to Virginia? Is that where Lockheed Martin? You went to Lockheed Martin, right?
That's where we're still at. Yeah, well, I moved down here from Lockheed Martin. I was with them for a number of years. I worked with a publishing company for almost a decade, and then for the last half decade, I've been with the U.S. Marshals.
Okay, so what you did? What, video graphics for Lockheed Martin? Is that what you were doing, or?
I was doing multimedia development at the Naval Surface Warfare Center. So basically, I was making winnable video games for the naval guys.
Nice.
And then when I got out of that and went into the publishing world, I worked at a place where they designed books and magazines and all kinds of media materials. And I was basically an art director for years there, and kind of got bored of that. I'm one of those guys that I throw myself into what I do, and I obsess on it. I try to achieve as much as I possibly can. And then one day I go, you know what? I want to do something different. And that's exactly what I did. I went from design into writing. The U.S. Marshals hired me as a technical writer originally. And it's really funny how things sort of go full circle, because I played drums for years and years, got into doing design work, then got into writing. I started out writing for Baseball Almanac. And one of the things about Baseball Almanac they wanted me to write was a story on baseball during the Civil War. So I wrote this really huge piece about baseball during the Civil War. They published it, and I got a call from a Civil War magazine. There was a lot of baseball. So I ended up getting picked up
I
to
didn't
be.
realize that baseball was
Baseball's old
around.
as fuck.
No,
It's
but I didn't
American
realize
pastime.
it was. Okay, but I thought it was like, I thought it came along like in the early 20th century. I didn't realize it was around in like 1870 something.
Yeah, well, that's
Haven't
why
you seen
Abner
those,
Doubleday.
really old
It's
baseball
that,
cards?
Not that
That's
old.
why you have Doubleday. Doubleday Field is named after Abner Doubleday, who was the Northern general who helped facilitate that game and spread the popularity of it. And then Albert G. Spalding is the guy who they think originally invented the game based on a game called Rounders. So baseball was very prevalent on both sides during the Civil War. They played it a lot in POW camps. They played it a lot, when they were basically waiting around for things to do. When you're a soldier and you go off to war, you have days and days and days of nothing, followed by, minutes and hours of terribleness, and then you go back to days and days of nothing.
I wonder if they named any fields after any of the Southern guys. Probably not.
Maybe names changed.
None of those guys had enough money to buy their endorsement costs like the guys do now.
Back before Jews weren't allowed in the Ku Klux Klan.
That's right, the good old days.
I heard they're allowed in now. Is that the big
Jews,
news?
blacks, and gays, yeah. Into the one group in the Klan.
Wow. The Klan is turning into a melting pot.
It is, man, just like America, It used to be all,
exactly.
Actually, it was all Indians, then it was all whites.
Exactly.
Then came everybody else.
But anyway, to make a really long story short, basically I started writing about baseball. That moved on to me writing about the Civil War. I wrote 5 books about the Civil War. I wrote 2 books about baseball. And then I decided that I wanted to go back to my original passion, which was music. And music education today is taking hits left and right. It's not like when Attila and Csaba and I were going to school and they had these robust music programs for kids.
Yep.
The arts are the first parts of these schools, the first departments to get cut. And, the benefits of music education, the kids that are playing instruments are better at math. They have better comprehension skills. They're more apt to pick up a second language. There's just so many benefits from music. And that was one of the reasons why we developed this program, because we wanted to do something based on elementary school teaching techniques that would introduce kids to the instrument, give them a basic foundation, but make every aspect of that fun. Because at the end of the day, we want these kids to have fun. They don't have to be the next Buddy Rich.
Yeah. No, I love what you did, man. I love all the success you're having with it. It's really cool. Like every time I look on Facebook and I see Mike did something else again, I'm like, hey, all right, good for that guy. Mike also.
I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Oh, I don't know. I think you're ahead of me, Mike. I think you're way ahead of me. But
I think you're wearing a lot more hats.
Oh, I will agree that we both wear many hats. That's for sure. But I think you're.
That's because we're both fans. We're both fans of Jefferson, so we have to be Renaissance men.
It's so funny you mentioned that. I love that. And that was a funny thing. An ex-girlfriend of mine and I, we went down to Monticello, and you remember? I think it was back in 2009 or 10. We went down there, and I was fascinated by the place. And I've been telling everybody ever since then to go down there, just hang out. Even if you aren't really into history and it's not your thing, it is very, very cool to be there because the place itself is absolutely gorgeous. First of all, Monticello is on a mountaintop, and you can just no matter which way you look, you see just valley and trees, lots of trees. And are airplanes not allowed to fly around there, or is that just by chance? Did it just so happen that the entire weekend I was up there wasn't a single helicopter airplane? Is there anything to that, or was that just by chance?
I'm not sure, Attila. I would imagine that place would be a no-fly zone, possibly. I don't know.
I'm not sure why it would be. I'm just saying when I was there, in fact, you know what? We were there literally a week after Michelle Obama and the kids were there. It just hit me. So whenever that was, probably 2010 or something, 2009, yeah. We were there a week later, and I remember they were saying that the whole place was on lockdown. You couldn't go anywhere, because Michelle and the girls were at Monticello. You know what I found most interesting, outside of everything, but the one thing that really sticks out to me, you've been to Monticello. I know you wrote something for Monticello, right? About Jefferson.
I did. I wrote a number of pieces for them. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you've also been there, right?
Many times.
Right. So you've been in the house. Now Jefferson wasn't a short guy. He was 6'2" or something. He was a pretty tall guy, right?
He was abnormally tall for that time.
Right. Exactly. And what I found weird is how his bed was set up. You remember it was between 2 walls. Well, I'm pointing he can see me, but he can't. Between 2 walls, and his bed was in there, but other people can, right? So there was a wall here, and in between was his bed. And I'm thinking to myself, like, my God, I'd be so claustrophobic, especially being as tall as he was. And they have his boots sitting right next to the bed where he died.
Yep.
And what was interesting, and I didn't notice until I went to Monticello, is that back then there was no left boot and right boot like there is today. The boots were just it was like socks. They could go on either foot,
Yep.
but after a while
Yep.
you wear them on one foot, just like socks. They sort of take the shape of that foot. So that was pretty interesting, I thought.
Yeah, that is.
Well, to add to that, Attila, that bed that you're talking about is located in an alcove, and there's a clock, and there's a little clock that's up there, and when that clock when it was enough light that Jefferson could see that clock, that would be when he would wake up and get out of bed.
Really?
Yeah. He rose at these insanely early hours in the day, and he would go out and he would take like temperature readings and barometric pressure, and he was
that's true. He was
completely
a scientist,
obsessed
too,
with weather.
Yeah.
He was a scientist, so he would sort of come out of a doze, and he would look up, and when that clock was visible to him, he knew that it was time to get out of bed.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, it's great that you brought that up because they got that separate area, that separate building that they have like right down the hill, where they have
Right.
all of his tools and devices that he came up with and all these contraptions and shit. I mean, he was basically, Thomas Jefferson was basically a Leonardo da Vinci.
There were a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
When you look at what Ben Franklin did and
another
James
one.
Madison and Washington,
Yeah.
all those guys were amazingly talented, and their intelligence was so broad because they were equally respected the arts and the sciences.
Again, I don't think they would be for cutting funds for arts. I don't believe they would be. And I'll tell you another thing that's taking a big hit in America nowadays is sports, man. It's like anything that's outside of just your reading and writing, and even that is horrible. I don't know this can't be by accident. That's all I have to say. There's no way that America's educational system is going to shit like this by accident.
Well, down here in Virginia, we have to buy all of our kids' materials. We get a list at the beginning of the year. We pay for every single material. My daughter is the varsity cheerleading captain, and the amount of money that she has to pay for her uniform and different outfits and shirts and jerseys and all this kind of stuff, it's just insane. And I wonder.
You know what else is a crime to me? And you brought this up. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but cheerleaders aren't recognized by schools as athletes. And I saw a documentary on this, and it's all about the money. That's all it is. It's simply for greed. There's one like uniform company, I believe, in America who makes all their uniforms, and they refuse. I mean, people have pressed and pressed to try to get them recognized as athletes because I'm sorry, but cheerleading is athletics. The shit that those girls do, and they break bones, they break body parts, etc. But there is no regulation on it. Okay,
it's like dancing,
Yeah, it's
My
kind of
daughters,
more hardcore
my
than
daughters
that.
had.
It's like
They're doing. I mean, girls are getting thrown 15, 20 feet in
gymnastics
the air.
is what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
it
it's
is.
Like that.
Well, it's a cross of the two.
My-
man.
Pretty much the same thing.
My daughter's had a broken nose, a concussion, an injured knee, an almost separated ankle. Yeah, she's been injured. She's been a cheerleader for 4 years, and she's been injured at least 6 times.
Yeah, and again, schools refuse to recognize them as athletes again because it comes down to greed and money, and it's just I don't know, man.
What about the really old ones from the NFL that are getting with like 15-year-old boys? I just want to segue back to that subject because I really enjoyed that.
Did you see that one joke? Who was it? Conan O'Brien, who said one of the Ravens cheerleaders got injured. I guess she like fell down or something, and a bunch of the Ravens players claimed they didn't do it, just out of habit, like they played innocent. So
That's a good one.
yeah. It was funnier the way he said it.
Hasn't
Yeah, because he's Conan.
Hasn't that been I think it's funny Brian brings up the old cheerleader because it seems like every week recently there's stories about teachers taking advantage of their students.
About it every week. You said you watched all the shows. You should,
Yeah.
Is that where you got
Well,
it
that's why
from?
I'm bringing that's why I'm bringing it up because I think it's amazing that I know when I was in school and if I had a really good-looking teacher, I probably wouldn't turn her in.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
what I'm
you
asking
can't
is, where
see-
were these teachers when I was in fucking high school?
Well, you. What about us?
I don't care about you.
Yeah, that's true. And
Well,
I
we had really old teachers. When me and Attila were in school, you wouldn't have 20-year-old teachers. We had like 60-year-old teachers.
You know what? I had a couple. There was a chemistry teacher in our school who was like, I swear to God, 19. She was like the Doogie Howser of teachers at Alderdice. She taught at Alderdice, and she, in fact, there was a rumor that she was banging Mr. Flynn, who was the, I think, older brother of the Flynn who used to play for the New York Giants. And in fact, that Flynn who played for the Giants recovered a fumble in one of the Super Bowls. So that, I thought that was a pretty cool little connection, you know. But yeah. So
speaking of fumbles, did you see the Steelers last week?
Oh God. The Steelers.
That was shitty.
You never know how to be with that team. It's like yay, and then the next week you just went like.
Against what? The Jets?
The
1-8?
Jets, yeah. Well, that's why I joke around, but I keep telling people, I said, look, if the Steelers can just get to the playoffs, somehow find their way in, I don't care how, back their way in, whatever, they'll be okay, because they're not going to play any shitty teams in the playoffs.
No, they're going to play all the good teams, and then they'll win.
Yeah, I mean, every one of our losses came against shitty teams, except for the Ravens, losing the first one.
That's true.
Other than that, the other three teams, I think, combined won, about 4 games?
Well, I think the problem is when you see Ben getting sacked 3 plays in a row and nobody else is stepping up. You know, it just seems like you got 3 guys that are trying to carry the rest of the team. And I think the Steelers make bad investments. I think Troy deserves all the accolades in the world, but his time has come and gone. Getting Harrison back, that was just a mind-blowing decision that I still don't understand. And, yeah, we have some up-and-coming talent. We've got some really young receivers that seem to know what they're doing, but overall, man, it reminds me of the Cordell years. You know, when the ball's in the air and you cringe because you just don't know what's going to happen.
The Cordell years, nothing is that bad. Those Cordell years were awful, man.
It's terrible.
Before I started watching.
Yeah, Brian, you're lucky you didn't see any of them. My
favorite's still Terry Bradshaw. I don't care.
Terry was funny, but that time, you know, I would like to see how well Terry would have done had he not been on the Super Steelers. Do you know what I mean? I feel that with that Super Steelers, you could have even had Cordell Stewart be a quarterback, and they would have won at least 2 Super Bowls.
Well, I mean, he was like Ben. Like everybody tried to take him down, and he would just.
Well, the thing about Bradshaw, remember who was it? One of the Giants or one of the Cowboys defensive guys said Bradshaw's so dumb he couldn't spell cat if you spotted him to CNEA. So I mean, you know, Bradshaw,
which is possibly true.
How about that dude?
I'm not saying he's smart.
No, well, he has football smarts. That's completely different. You see a lot of these athletes who are like dumber than a 2x4, but when they get on that field, it's like boom.
That's like I love, especially in the Super Bowl when they announce the guys and like they're usually always saying what college they're from.
Oh, that.
And then the guys that are coming up and like saying what elementary school they're.
Yeah, I don't know when that shit started, but that's funny. I find it hilarious when guys are like, you know what? I refuse to just pimp my alma mater.
Like, I mean, some guys will say the high school and then the college, and then you'll hear like middle school and elementary school. I'm like, how do they find this guy?
Well, I would like to say my mother's womb.
Unless they are just doing it as a joke.
Attila Domos,
you're going way
my
back.
mother's womb.
Because I mean, how do you find
my dad's balls?
You know? How do you find a guy to play football when he's
You can't go any further than that.
Fucking.
That's it, right? Your dad's balls. That's as far back as you can go.
A guy who's never graduated elementary school. I mean,
Ball State.
How do you get him on your NFL team, especially all the way to the Super Bowl?
Right. So, getting back to some of the stuff, right? So you wrote for Monticello. I actually read one. I remember reading one. It was like a spread.
Okay. Yeah. I did a piece on how the people at Monticello were making great strides in doing a more honest interpretation of slavery.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is most people don't know that the South was actually looking to do away with slavery before the Civil War happened. That the Civil War itself really had very little to do with slavery. It's just something that certain banks around the world jumped on, and they started funding 2 sides to keep that war going. But we're getting into some of that conspiracy stuff, and I don't really want to get into all that. But my point was on it that the South, they already had plans set up to incrementally break away from slavery long before the Civil War even started. Because, you can't just like one day wake up and say, okay, slaves, you're all free, go. I mean, where are they going to go? You know what I mean? If all you knew all your life is how to
like
pick
taking all your
or
dogs and chihuahuas and stuff and setting them out in the wild.
Just go.
So
Fend for yourself.
Get eaten by buzzards.
Well, the thing is, I mean, with freedom comes responsibility, and if you've never been a free man, you never had to worry about responsibility. And what I find happened, though, in a very clever way, is that form of slavery was replaced by this form of slavery that we have today. In other words, we still have masters. We have our corporate masters. We have our bankster masters. We've got, these lawyer masters in D.C. who are just changing laws and, doing away with things like the Fourth Amendment because, the right to assemble. I mean, who needs that? Right? Yeah, we don't need that. I like how they got around that one. Again, I don't want to get into politics on this.
Fourth Amendment, the right to peacefully
assemble.
Pepper spray anybody who's assembling.
What they did now is they decided that, okay, you can still assemble, but you can't assemble anywhere where there is Secret Service. Well, what? Well, you can just put Secret Service wherever. You know what I mean? When you see a group of guys standing around over there, send a Secret Service guy over. Now they got to go somewhere else. I mean, So what this does really, in essence, is it moves the peasants like us away from the 1%ers. All they got to do is put up Secret Service around where they are, and they'll never have to deal with, schmucks like us. So, but
Schmucks like us, another good band name.
Schmucks like us, yeah.
I come up with good band names all
Thanks,
the time.
man. That's how I roll. And I didn't come up with Big Bad Wolf. That's the amazing thing. Billy did.
The asshole.
Yeah, the asshole. Billy the asshole. So, Mike, behind you, I'm looking at your kit. That real wild, crazy design.
Part of it, yeah.
How did you come about that? What is that? Is that the actual shell?
No, I helped design that. There's a company out of Maryland called Bum Wrap Drum Company, and they create these wonderful high-resolution wraps that you basically take all the hardware off. You slip this wrap around your drum, and then you put the hardware back on. So it gives a new finish to your drum kit, and it also preserves the original finish underneath. And I like pink, and I wanted to come up with something that looked like the classic salmon pink that you would see back in the 1960s and 70s. So this is sort of a brand new takeoff from that.
So how does that change the tone of the kit at all? I mean, I'm guessing. I'm not a drummer, but if you have the original shell and then you put something on it, does that muffle it? Does that change the sound or?
It cancels out some of the resonance, but when you can tune the drum up, and I use very open heads. I want my drums to sound like a big band kind of drum kit.
Right.
I'm not going for that like 1970s stud sound. I want it to boom. So if you know how to tune the drums, you can just tune around that.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not a drummer, so
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I just set up my drum set in my basement.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
It sounds pretty good.
That's where you're shitting and drumming, right?
Yeah.
with the
bidet on the just for the drum seat. Yeah. Good.
I don't know if
You got a bidet?
I don't know if you caught our bidet conversation in last week's show.
Well, actually, you posted just that segment on Facebook.
Oh, I did, yeah. Well, I don't know if Mike saw it, but yeah, it was actually that was probably my favorite part of that last week's show. The bidet conversation.
Bidets. Hey, I'm all for a clean butt.
Hell, who isn't?
And dried.
Maybe
and
that's
change
something
the temperature of
lawmakers
the
should
water
do. What if lawmakers gave bidets to the
and
homeless?
velocity, and it's a heated seat.
Seriously.
Wow.
Lawmakers, instead of throwing homeless in prisons, they should give them bidets.
Yeah.
There you go. Have fun with this. Maybe it'll give them an incentive. I mean, once your ass is clean, you're good to go. You're like, I got a clean ass. Now I can conquer the world.
It's the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things. Yeah. So, all right. So let me think here for a minute, because you've written so many books. I mean, I know you wrote about not just the Civil War, but also Revolutionary War, right? Did you cover any of that? Or
I've written about that. The one book that's doing really well is You Stink.
There we go. Yes.
Which this is Jason Aldean loved this book. It's actually it's a massive study with all kinds of stats and essays about the worst teams and the worst players in the history of Major League Baseball.
So how many chapters did the Pirates occupy?
The Pirates are actually quite extensively through this book, but once this book came out, they turned around and started doing good.
Yeah.
So I like to think that I deserve a little bit of that credit.
That's right. That's right. Didn't you actually, wasn't it one of the Pirate GMs or somebody who actually read the book or made a comment on it or something?
Somebody actually bought a copy. We did a book signing at the Heinz Museum, and somebody on his staff actually bought a copy of the book, had us write to the Pirates owner a personal dedication inside and hand that off to him. So it was Was it McClatchy?
Oh,
Was the
okay,
McClatchys?
McClatchy, yeah, he owned it before Bob Nutting.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he
is
owned it
McClatchy
before.
still
So
like a silent partner, or what? Is he completely out now? I have no idea.
I think he's still involved with the team a little bit, but I don't know what exact role he's fulfilling right now.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like a silent partner nowadays. Bob Nutting is
Sorry,
Yep.
I just can't stop thinking of how overqualified you are to be on this show. You can even call it a show.
It's something. Hey, we have a good time, man. We get on here and
Yeah.
just act like idiots, and I figure at some point.
Hey, you know what? You guys are feeding my ego way too much. Believe me.
But just to let people know, I did. I was stuck in bed for about 3.5 years. You know the story. You guys both know.
Yeah.
I was stuck in bed for 3.5 years dealing with wound breakdown.
I feel like
issues.
you're also too overqualified to be on the show.
I'm too overqualified to host it. So anyway, I took that time during my 3.5 years of being in bed. I wrote a book, my autobiography for whatever that's worth. Then I and the only reason I even did that is because I was bugged when I was out in California. I was hanging out with a friend and a couple of his friends, and they would ask me how this happened to me. Obviously the first thing always comes up: how'd you end up in a wheelchair? That's like, if a woman wanted to pick me up in a bar, use that line, because that just opens the door to all night conversation. But so it started like that, and every time I would tell them about this or that, they're like, "Man, you got to write a book. Man, you got to write a book. Man, you got to write." So I'm like, "Look, I'm not a writer. I never wrote a book. Last time I wrote anything of any significance, I was in college, and I'm pretty sure I copied something then." So I'm not a writer, but my buddy Chad said, "You know what? I'll be your." And Chad is a writer. That's what he does out in LA. So. Actually, he's an editor for a magazine, and but he knows his shit. So I said, all right, well, he said, I said, I'll write it as long as you will edit and sort of give me direction, and that's what we did. And surprisingly though, what I found really interesting in the time, it took me about a year to write the book, and because what happened is I wrote about 900 pages, 900 some pages worth of material. And then I had to edit that down, and I got it down to about 350 pages altogether. But
that's a lot of editing.
It is. Well, I mean, that's what are you going to do? I'm not putting out Tolstoy's, War and Peace. But what I found really interesting is in the process of writing, because I would just write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, not the book chapters, but I wrote them in chapters from what I've earliest memory to whatever happened yesterday, right? So. And then I picked and chose what I wanted in a book. Choose. So what I found really interesting is when I got near the end of the book and I was going back to edit and figure out what I want to use here and there, I went over like the early chapters and I had to do rewrites because I was like, wow, this is pretty bad. Like my writing got that much better in the time of just writing one book. Not that I'm a great author. I'm no Mike. I'm no Alyssa. I'm not any of those people. But it's just amazing that when you sit down and do something, just for 1 year even, how much you improve in that time.
Sure.
So, like,
well, first of all, your book
better than the beginning.
The book is great, by the way. I think you did an extraordinary job with that, and
well, Chad helped with that, so. But I appreciate it.
And really, what you're talking about is the fact that that's one of the most challenging things about being a writer or filmmaker. When we're doing a documentary like the Angel Marie's Heights or something like
Excellent
that,
documentary,
we shoot.
I saw it.
Thank you. We shoot like 30-something hours of film, and at the very end, this thing gets trimmed down to 70 minutes, 90 minutes.
I should be contributing to you two more. Buying your
as a producer,
sorry,
it just seems to me, no problem. We're constantly getting better and better and better at what we do. And it's to be expected. I've run things that I've written, and I've looked at them, and I've been appalled and ashamed. And I've written things that I look at, and I say to myself, I'll probably never write anything this good.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Link to your book on Facebook.
Yes.
Send me links to all this stuff so I can check it out. Because I haven't.
All right, cool. We'll do.
Okay. Yeah, man. Actually, Michael.
In fact, link everything to the video and your website and Facebook.
You know what? Everything of mine is on my website. All of it. Yeah, there you go. Mike, you were in town, I want to say, in 2010 with the Angel of St. Mary's Heights, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You
yeah,
came
we
to the
did.
Carnegie Library, right?
I did. I gave a lecture on Pittsburgh during the Civil War, and we showed the film and got great accolades, and it's been really, really successful. It's available on Netflix now if you want to rent it. Sells really well on Amazon.
It is very cool. Cool. It is very, very cool.
Well,
it's a way for me what it was, and I was there at the premiere whenever you brought it here, and I was there with Tamar, my girlfriend at the time. And it was actually pretty cool because there were a lot of people who actually were dressed up in Civil War outfits. Some of these reenactors and stuff, they went to see it. I imagine they would. I mean, that's their thing, So if somebody comes in and it was really funny. I don't know how many of them you got to speak with, but me being me, I just end up talking with everybody and their mother. And especially when I see these dudes looking like Colonel Sanders and shit, I went up and started talking to them.
I'm not like that. I can't talk to anybody.
No, well, you're more of an introvert.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. So is Mike.
I don't know. I don't understand that mindset because I've never had it.
Really? Well.
So I have to live vicariously through you when you tell me these stories.
Well, you know what's weird? I used to be very shy when I was young. I was incredibly shy. And I thought I was dumb.
I was too. I never went away.
I thought I was dumb for a long time. And I didn't know. I think part of my problem, though, growing up is that, I had to learn a new language every couple of years. I mean, just when I was like 10 years old, finally starting to grasp Romanian and Hungarian, then we moved to Austria. Now I had to learn German. So in the 2 years we were in Austria, I mastered the German language. Then we had to move here to the States. So now I had to start over. So I was always like, growing up, I really relied on soccer. For me was a big thing because I was good at it. Yeah, I was always an athletic person, and being from Europe, I mean, I think the way we were born is first comes the soccer ball, then the child. That's how we come out of mom, But
or both at the same time, and you just kick the kid into the goal.
Yes, exactly. But
that'd be a good sport.
Yeah. So for me, like growing up, I would sit there and listen more than talk. And then I don't know, at some point, I don't know what the hell happened. Now it's like my mouth just nonstop.
That'd be much better than like Ebola for population control. Just start playing games with newborns.
With newborns. Well, they do that already. Also in Africa, imagine that. But
they're defenseless. They can't help.
Well, again, it goes back to picking on the poor. They love kicking the poor. And I would like to actually go to a school and give a speech to these kids, because you remember being in high school. I know you do, because it was just recently. Mike and I, we got to think back a little bit, but you remember in high school we were going to conquer the world. I mean, it was you look at like a homeless guy in the street and you're like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? How things change once you get out in the real world, and it starts kicking you around a little bit. All of a sudden you realize that it's a little more difficult than you thought it was going to be, I mean, I had in high school, I had my plan all made out. I was going to, play professional football for a couple of years and then, then retire and go do music, have the money to do anything I want with music. But then that all changed when my mom died, and, I completely lost interest in football. But yeah, you get out in the real world, and what cracks me up is I sit on Facebook, and sometimes I see like guys who are in college now posting like life advice. And I can't help. I just start laughing. Like I feel like that old guy now. Like, you're young kids in your crazy droopy pants. What's wrong with you? And like, get out there, get kicked in the balls by life a little bit, and then you realize that it's not exactly what you thought it was gonna be. Do you feel like that ever, Mike, or is it just me?
I think you and me are like those two old guys that sat up in the balcony on the Muppet Show.
Yes.
And rained hate down on everybody. I think that's us.
Yeah.
We've got 20 something years of shit, that we can share.
Yes, but
I wonder what it's gonna be like when you're both like 60.
Like this, but probably a little slower.
Just enhanced.
Yeah.
Slower and balder. Whatever.
Because then I'm gonna be your age, and then I'm gonna be that guy talking about all the young kids.
Yeah, you'll understand.
But then you're gonna look at me as still young and
exactly.
talk shit about me and my generation.
It
all rolls downhill.
It does, and that's the interesting thing. Like, I think right now, Mike, you and I are at the perfect age, for a weird perspective of wisdom. Here's what I mean: we're old enough that we've been kicked around and we understand. We get the game of life. We know how it works. And probably neither. I can guarantee you, I'm not nowhere near where I thought I was going to be by this age. And I'm assuming you probably aren't either. I don't know. We all make plans when we're young,
Well, see, you and I come from an interesting generation because we're a generation that grew up where there was no technology, and then we eased into the technological
What are you
age.
talking
So
about,
you
man? We
have
had tube cable, buddy.
yeah, we had Pong, right?
Remember?
So
No,
you
but
have
we had a tube cable with the long, like 30-foot wire. Do you remember?
Yeah. I do.
Go ahead.
I
I'm
do.
sorry.
We had it all. No, I was just going to say, like, our parents they kind of came through the middle age into their age now without any technology. So they're riding on the back end of that wave. Brian and his people, they grew up in an era where technology is just a normal part of their everyday lives.
Yeah.
The internet, cell phones, video games. It is. So me and Attila are the only generation that got to live on both sides of that equation.
I mean, because I look at like Jack and stuff, and he's growing up like with tablets and shit. When I was his age, there was none of that stuff.
No, but I mean, he was 2 years old. Well, like any 2-year-old nowadays, they're texting. Not texting, but they're sitting playing Angry Birds and shit. If I give the same cell phone to my dad, my dad looks at one of these, and I'm holding up my phone right now, and he runs in fear.
I already feel like people that are even younger than me have somehow surpassed my level of technological.
Well, they have, and they always will. It's crazy.
Well, and then when I'm like,
well, even think about in terms of music. We're all musicians. This drum kit, I've got sample pads that I have hundreds and hundreds of different programs. You take a one of those little tiny zip disk things, you stick it in your laptop, you stick it in there.
Yeah.
You can record your own records, you can do your own editing. Think of how much music has evolved at the user level. You know what I mean?
How do you think? How do you think? And I'm saying this here's a trippy thing to me, right? When we were growing up, basically, Mike, and in the 80s, I would say usually teenage years. That's what I consider coming of age. You're teenagers. I don't really count like 1 or 0 through 10 because you're like stumbling around. You don't know shit, But once you start becoming a teenager, that's kind of like where you really develop your personality and you become who you are, pretty much. But you and I, in our generation, we kind of grew up with like Star Trek Next Generation was a big thing for most of the guys I know, and I freaking loved it. But I actually even before then, we grew up with Kirk and these guys, with the original Star Trek guys, because that's all we had. And then when I think it was in '83 when they came out with the Next Generation, we're like, new Star Trek.
And what do we have now? Like Instagram.
Well, but here's where the difference is so interesting is that. Star Trek was it was a very smart show, and it made you look at the world in a completely different way than you normally would have, because it dealt with a lot of things, everything from like racism to overpopulation to all these other, but they would work it into the show, right? So it made you think. You always end up like, wow, by the time you watch a couple of Star Trek episodes, your IQ points probably went up by like 1 or 2, But what's amazing is Brian and his age, they haven't watched Star Trek, and to me that's wild, and I understand why they don't, because really they got YouTube. Anything you want to know, you've got the internet. The internet, you've got everything at your fingertips. But
the ABC show even.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It's a very educational show.
Yeah, but for us, it's like we had to seek out shows like that for knowledge, and Star Trek was one of the few shows that was actually on network television. I guess if you want to
think of the things that were on that show that have come to light. You had the computer.
Beam me up, Spotty.
There's no difference between. Yeah, look, we have Siri now, right? Yes, Siri a question. Siri answers you back. The handheld communicator, that's the cell phone. So, all those kinds of things that they were talking about. But I think what's interesting is
scientists have created a tracking. What do you call it? What was it in space where they would tractor beams? They created a tractor beam. Yeah. It can only do like small molecules right now, but it's step 1,
Well, the thing that's depressing, though, is you can take the other side of that coin and you can say that when we were kids, by 2000, we were supposed to be flying around in space cars.
Yes.
So I kind of feel like they lied to us because everything that we were supposed to be doing by the year 2000, we're not doing.
Well, they have lied to us, and that's went on for generations.
Well, we have flying cars.
We do have flying cars, except,
But they're kind of shitty.
Well, no, they had a couple. I remember about 10 years ago, they had a model that was going to run on ethanol, and I've actually seen it tested. Not like with my own eyes in person, but on YouTube. I went on YouTube and I found that they had all these, tests. It was really cool. They had a top speed of like 350 miles an hour. you know. But I think the biggest thing with the flying car that they're doing right now is that they need to set up an infrastructure for it. Okay, so you can't just go buy a flying car and take off like a Jetsons and fly wherever you want, because we'd be wrecking into each other all over the damn place. So what they have to set up is an infrastructure where we're all going to fly at certain altitude, say 100 or 200 feet in the air, right? And what you do is they'll have designated takeoff and landing zones. Probably every neighborhood will have one, right? So that's where you go to take off if you want to go somewhere far. Like you wouldn't sit into your flying car from here in Squirrel Hill and fly to downtown to work. You would still commute via bus or car or something, right? But what you would do is if you want to say commute from Pittsburgh to Cleveland or Harrisburg or Philadelphia, wherever, what you do is you drive the flying car to the takeoff spot, and then you put in the coordinates. You probably put in like the area code or zip code, whatever. And once you're in the air, it automatically flies to that destination. So it'll be on autopilot, much the same way that the jet engines are today. Like when you see these pilots flying the 747s, they're not actually sitting behind the cockpit and flying that thing. You punch in the numbers. And I know this because I have a friend of mine, Olga, who actually is a pilot. And when she was studying for her license, I did some of her homework because I found it fascinating. And
very complicated stuff.
It is very complicated, man. But it's also easy at the same time, because once you know what you're doing, all you have to do is take off and land. That's it. The rest of it does its own. So that's where the flying car is.
I've flown small, like single engine aircraft. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. What was that like?
It's the greatest thing in the world.
I'm sure. I flew
other than playing music in front of large audiences. Those two are like right next to each other.
I rode in a helicopter. I didn't fly it, but I got to ride in a helicopter, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It was
my grandma knew.
I rode an elephant.
So did I.
Oh, nice.
So did I. I rode one of all places up in Canada. I did.
I rode a Virginian elephant.
What the hell is that? Fat chick.
It's an elephant. An elephant in Virginia.
Are you sure she didn't ride you?
Oh, snap.
Anyway, no.
What's
a totally different show.
Not really. It's the ABC show, man. Anything goes. So what is a Virginian elephant?
It's an elephant that's in Virginia.
I thought you were gonna drop knowledge on me, man. But I mean, it was like from India or something, right? Or Africa.
It was big and it was gray and it smelled like ass.
You know what the sad thing is? This is when I was married with my ex-wife and I and her daughter Kayla. We went up to there's an African safari near Hamilton, Ontario, which is like about halfway between Niagara Falls and Toronto, and it's wild. I never knew it was like it wouldn't even cross my mind to do an African safari in Canada. You know what I mean? Like what? Like when I think Canada, I think cold weather, like probably most Americans do. But man, let me tell you, we were up there and it was like 100+ degrees. I literally felt like I was in Africa. It was freaking hot. That's probably not hot enough for Africa, but it was hot enough for me.
They get in the 120, 130.
Oh yeah. But it was hot, and
I couldn't imagine that.
We rode an elephant, and by the time I was already, I was well paralyzed by then. So I had to get out of my chair and climb up on. They had like a big giant platform that you had to walk up to. Was yours the same way, Mike?
No, actually, we walked up a flight of stairs and got right on them bareback.
Yeah. Well, this one had like a metal kind of railing around the elephant. It was like, it wasn't what's the thing you put on a horse? Harness? Is that what it's called?
Saddle.
Saddle. Yeah.
Saddle?
Yeah, harness is what, around the mouth, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I'm not a horse.
That's a
person.
bridle.
Yeah, me neither. But I could get a horse expert.
Not a horseteer. On the show, you get a horse expert.
I could, yeah. I know a couple people actually who are experts. I am not
that
one
get
of
paid
them.
like
I am not one of
$50,000 a year.
No.
Remember when we were
Yeah.
talking about those?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, those just
No,
like,
they were they exercise the horse. That's what they do. Man, these are actual horse owners. But anyway, yeah, that's how this was. You had to walk up probably, I don't know, like 8 or 10 steps, and then there was like a little platform up there, and then we crawled up. I was able to crawl over and get on the elephant's back, and I felt bad for the elephant. I don't know what yours was like, but they walked this elephant around like in a big circle, like 2 circles, and I just felt like the elephant totally wasn't into it. Because it was like its trunk was down, it was moving like who's that Snuffleupagus or who's that one on? Who's all like, oh,
I mean,
Snuffleupagus.
of course it'd be sad. What a shitty life.
Well, yeah, but all I could think to myself is like, dude, you weigh tons. If you just go crazy and run for it, it's gonna be pretty hard to stop you. We've all seen animals attack.
We go down to Disney every so many years, and when you go down to their Animal Kingdom park, you get in a truck and you drive around on a safari. And the animals are like right there. And I'm sitting in this truck with my kids, and I look over, and there's like a rhinoceros like 10 feet away. And all I'm thinking of is, if this guy gets pissed off and is having a bad day, all he's got to do is turn around and flip this truck over.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. I don't think people understand how big rhinos are. You can't understand until you're next to it. They are freaking. It's a small car. Literally, like you look at I don't know, like a MR. I think an MR2 is that what they were? The MR2s.
It was like a Range Rover with a top cut off.
Yeah, it's just insane. Because again, on the same tour up in Canada, we did this one where we got into one of those like train cars, and they have like the big giant glass window that goes from like a floor to up to the roof and shit. It was really cool, They're wide, big, and air conditioned. But we stop at this one part right next to 2 rhinos, and these rhinos are like horn to horn. They're looking at each other, and they're about to just attack. I mean, they were having some kind of a testosterone fest, these 2 rhinos, and they're looking, and they're so close, like their face is all the way down to the ground, that when they were breathing, they were looking at each other breathing. You could see the dust just kind of like.
I have something to add after this.
Yeah, okay. And so all of a sudden, right, these 2 rhinos just charged each other. They didn't actually like physically, like they butted horns, and they were like doom, 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 like stomping. And dude, our entire truck was like rocking side to side. I thought it was just from them stomping the ground, man. So yeah, go ahead,
I just wanted to throw in that it seemed like especially depressing that it was an elephant doing that, because they're one of the few animals that are actually self-aware, that pass the self-awareness test, so that they have a lot of understanding of what's actually going on.
Yeah, but yet they can't figure out that they can break that rope by the time they're adults. Train them when they're young.
It's just sad because that they're actually sad.
Yeah.
It's the arrogance. It's like when you see that documentary Blackfish, and you see the way SeaWorld treats its animals, and just the whole fact that they take killer whales and they throw them in a tank. And the killer whale killed a trainer. Well, no shit,
Well, what was funny is one time I was at SeaWorld.
SeaWorld sucks.
I had one of my ex-girlfriends, Cindy. She was you met Cindy. Yeah, you knew Cindy, Mike, right?
I knew Cindy. Yes, I did. Yep.
Yeah, she was a dancer. She used to dance at Geauga Lake in the summers for like college credit or whatever, post-college credit. And right next to Geauga Lake was SeaWorld. And we would go over there, and the one time. Oh, no, this one didn't happen there. I'm sorry. This one happened also up in by Niagara Falls. Next to Niagara Falls. Have you been up there recently at all, Mike?
No, but I know that there's a park up there that has sea life in it.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's kind of like they took Kennywood and SeaWorld, put it into one. And you get roller coaster rides, and they got otters and, dolphins and all this other stuff. But they also have killer whales. And, well, one killer whale, I think. But on this day... they were like, no, we had to cancel the show because the killer whale, whatever her name was, she wasn't being cooperative. And I'm thinking, same exact thing that you said. Same exact thing that you said. Like, no shit.
Steve-O from Jackass. I follow him on Facebook, but he did this video of like the billboard for SeaWorld. He somehow got up there like with a ladder or something, and then like put a message after SeaWorld, because how there's like whatever city in so many miles, it said SeaWorld, and then he like spray painted sucks right after it, and I think he actually got in a lot of trouble for that. I just want to throw that out there because SeaWorld sucks.
Yeah, well, I haven't.
He's a good man for doing that.
Yeah, but
I never really, you take that stuff for granted. Like you grow up as a kid, you go to see those shows, you go to the circus, and you don't think about what's going on behind the scenes at the circus. Yeah. And then you see it on video, and you feel guilty because as you were growing up, you were totally innocent and ambiguous to the whole thing because you thought those animals were well taken care of, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Have you ever been to a big top circus? An actual big top circus, Mike?
Yes, I have. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, back in Romania, that's how they all were. There was no Ringling Brothers coming through to the arena near you. Like to me, like I went to one Ringling Brothers one. Oh geez, even this was back in like '87 or '88, I think. I took an ex-girlfriend, and the trapeze artists just weren't cutting it for me because they were all wearing safety harnesses and stuff. You know, and to me, like I remember being young and going to the big top circus where there were no safety nets, there was no safety harness, there was none of that. When these guys, the trapeze artists, went up there and they did their shit, if they fell, they got jacked up, you know. So
that's how it should be.
Well, I feel that way. I mean, it's kind of like that guy who broke the record over in Niagara Falls. He walked across the falls. Do you remember that? Happened a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Well, he was wearing like a safety harness that was on, and I'm like, again, you know, I feel like I'm one of those guys. Like, I don't believe in all the safety garbage. Okay, because what it does, it creates. I know. It creates a generation of kids who are not, and again, maybe this is done by design too, to get them to not be aware of their surroundings, you know? Because, I mean, when you're all bubbled up and safe, you're not paying attention. That's why there's so many damn car accidents, because people are distracted inside their cars. You know, when you're on a motorcycle, it ain't like that. Every time I rode my motorcycle, man, I wasn't like texting. I wasn't looking around to see what else is going on.
Texting on a motorcycle would be...
Oh, I'm sure there are idiots who do that, you know, but the thing is, like...
I'd want to see that.
The thing to me is, like, I don't know. I don't believe in all this safety first crap. You know, to me, it's just another perfect way to attack our civil liberties and be able to chop away our liberties one at a time. It's kind of like the old anti-bullying thing. Now, I hate bullies. Growing up, I was a little kid. I always had a fight, man. I must have been, well over 100 fights in my life. You know, moving from country to country. I was always the outside kid coming in, you know. The boys didn't like me because, well, I didn't dress like them. I couldn't defend myself verbally because they would make fun of me. And, well, if you don't know the language, you have no idea how to rip back. You know when they're talking about you and making fun of you. That's the interesting thing. I always knew when they were making fun of me, but I couldn't rip back. I only knew, like, thank you and fuck you was one of the first things I learned. You know, so it's like, so I had to fight a lot growing up. But
I didn't.
But I think
I always flew under the radar.
But that made me a stronger person. You know, that sort of helped me build my character. And I hate bullies. Believe me, I hate bullies. But what I would teach kids, and I preach this to Jack, my nephew. I said, look, you don't start a fight ever. You don't pick on little girls. You don't pick on, you know, anybody, you know. But if somebody's going to try to bully you around and is going to get in your face and push you and stuff, don't be afraid to hit them. Do not be afraid to hit them, because you got to stick up for yourself, you know? And at that point, when people are coming after you, you have all the right in the world to defend yourself.
Hit them in the nuts.
Like that 8-ball guy, the 8-ball jacket
Hell
guy.
Yeah.
Did you see him, Mike? Did you see that video?
I did. I saw it on AOL. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's absolutely
great.
hilarious, man. And I'm so glad that he got off. I mean, you know, half
There's
of the time.
no reason he shouldn't have.
Oh, but you
That's
know,
ridiculous.
but you know how things work in the
Yeah.
justice system a lot of times. You know, this guy was just lucky, especially nowadays with all the "oh my God, you hit a woman" thing. Not that I advocate that, but you know, I'm sorry.
I thought it was hilarious.
What that guy did on the A train or whatever it was, it's perfectly fine by me. He did nothing wrong, man. If that woman
did something
is man,
right.
Look, if that woman is man enough to hit him, and I don't know, she had like a shoe or something, you know, then go ahead.
Her purse.
Then go ahead.
She swung her purse.
Yeah, whatever she had, you know. The bottom line is, if you're man
That was a
enough to hit
good
somebody,
smack too. It was
she's lucky he open palm hit him. I would have hit her like fist first. You know what I mean? Like, get out of here. You know? Oh wow, this conversation has turned violent.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. It entertained me.
Oh, it was hilarious because I mean, everybody in there finally got what
Like
they deserved.
I'm beyond the point of defending him, saying that he did nothing wrong. I'm to the point where he entertained me emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah.
I
So
love videos
anyway,
like that.
but that's where I come from. You know, I never believed really in safety first, and I didn't believe in all that stuff.
No.
I'm not saying like, you know, car manufacturers should make a safer car. or
Oh yeah,
whatnot.
there was a point to talk. Staying on,
but-
leading it back to it.
But the bottom line is like, you know, you're taking a risk every time you get into an automobile. Okay. And this is where I have some problems with people sometimes because they don't pay attention, you know, and people always cry like, oh my God, I got hit. And
I told you about the time I almost got sideswiped coming up that road.
Yes,
Last
just
time I
last
came
week. or something. Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
But it's going to happen. And no matter what you do, it's going to happen. Things are going to happen. And I don't know. I think to myself, like, the worst life you could ever live is a safe life.
Yeah, that's boring.
It's awful. I mean, you're like a coffee table. You just exist. You don't experience anything. I've experienced more in my 22 or whatever years of pain that I've been in due to paralysis than most people will experience in their entire life. I mean, I'm in freaking pain every day. I am. You've seen every now and then. You've seen when that shit hits me.
Even though it doesn't show on the show for some reason. Anytime that we're not doing it.
Yeah. Well,
even though now we just brought it up, so it's going to happen.
Yeah, but my brain gets distracted. It's really weird. I mean, that's like how phantom pains work, you know. My brain gets distracted, and it doesn't bother me a lot of times. But it has happened to me on stage. It has. When I first started performing, after I came back from my accident with Big Bad Wolf, we went on stage, and it happened to me a couple of times where I was like, I started making all these funny faces on stage.
They just thought it part of the show.
Exactly. Sell it like Gene Simmons, baby. Put some blood in my mouth and spit it out. So what's your view on the whole safety issue and safety first, Mike? Not to put you on the spot.
We're putting you on the spot. Don't listen to him.
Well, I think it isn't an issue of being safe. I think it's common sense.
Yes.
I think when you coddle people to the point where they don't have to think for themselves, then they lose the ability to have common sense.
Yes.
And that, at the end of the day, is really the most important thing.
Yes. You know what?
I think
he said that perfectly.
Yeah. We need to get 3 people on the show like every time. We need to figure something out.
No, I think Mike said that absolutely perfectly, and this is why he's a writer. He said that perfectly because that is the whole issue. And in my clumsy way, when I was saying people aren't aware of their surroundings, that's what I was basically getting at. Is you're just less self-aware. You're just more of a drone, a zombie, a mindless zombie walking about bumping into things. And it's amazing how much of that you see nowadays. I don't know.
I think people need to be willing to take a risk, because without risk, there's no reward.
Oh yeah, was that Alexander who said?
I think it was. Yeah, I just think that it's one of those situations. You can put somebody to the position where you're actually doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
When we teach fake history, I get so upset because my younger kids come home and they get that bullshit version of American history, and I have to sit there and I have to reteach it. No, the white man and the Native Americans were not friends and did not live and cohabitate, well and together, and stuff like that. So, we do our kids a disservice because we're trying to present something that is, I don't believe in the term politically correct, but I do use the term overly sensitive.
Yeah.
Overly sensitive history, and they get a fake view of the world.
But
it's artificial.
But everybody has these problems, okay? And I feel that the way they teach history to blacks is for one reason and one reason only, and that is to keep them down. Because as long as you view yourself as another link in the long chain of victims, you're never going to get beyond that point,
like feminism.
Oh, I think it's absolutely by design. That's how they're taught. They're taught that, every freaking movie, every third movie reminds them that their ancestors were slaves in America. Well, guess what? There isn't a single person on this planet, black, white, Chinese, Indian, whatever you are, who cannot trace his lineage back to being a slave and being a slave owner somewhere in the line. It was the way of the world. They talk about, like I saw somebody made a talking point about bitching about America was built on slave labor. Well, no shit. Every empire in history was built on slave labor. From Egypt to Rome nobody imported more slaves than the Romans, for Christ's sake. Those guys were black, white, Chinese, whatever. If you weren't Roman, you were a freaking slave,
Well, you still have that today. Dubai is one of the most cutting-edge cities. It's growing at an enormous rate. They have these amazing buildings, amazing architecture, and the majority of the people that are building those buildings are foreigners that are brought in.
Yes.
They're not allowed to have citizenship. They cannot be citizens, but they're allowed to, spend their time there building these huge skyscrapers, and I see no difference between that and the slaves who helped build the pyramids.
Of course not.
Can you just be a regular on the show?
I've said this many times. I wish Mike lived closer,
I'd love to.
man. This would be the show of all shows if the three of us could get together all the time. That would just be awesome.
You guys could be the eagle, and I'll be the bucket of water.
Yeah.
Did you to get back? You mentioned Dubai. That's why I'm bringing this up. You remember Pat, right, from the Big Bad Wolf days?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Pat Pat was the
You should really put that pop filter on there.
no.
So bad.
Only once. I heard that one. Pat was Jay's mom, Big Bill, our money guy's wife. Okay, so Pat was a no nonsense woman. Get out of here. So go away with this. Damn it, you messed up my mic. Anyway, so she was kind of like a
one of
no
these, they're
nonsense
cheap.
woman. The thing about Pat is like, you know,
Like $4.
we could screw around in the basement all day long, make all kinds of noise, ruckus, whatnot. But Pat worked like evening. She worked like the 3 to 11 shift or whatever at Children's Hospital. So she would get home by like midnight, and as soon as she walked in, she's like, enough. You know, she yelled out, enough. That's it. Okay, we're done.
My
Like
shoulder's been on here
Pat-
this whole time.
like she wore the pants around there. So, but you know, once I had my accident, eventually the band broke up, whatnot. Everybody went their separate way. Pat left Bill. Bill sadly died. Pat, I don't know if you saw the story, Mike, but Pat was picked up by the feds in Dubai, and she's in prison here now. Did you see
Really?
that story?
I did not see that story. No.
Well, apparently, and I you know, she apparently snatched some money from a doctor's office where she was working, like in a range of around $250,000 or something. And I'm not,
Cool.
I don't remember exactly how it came about, but somewhere along the way, she snagged the money. Probably, I'm guessing over a period of time, you know. So she took the money, she took off. She was in Russia for a while, and then she went to Dubai, where apparently we haven't, what is it called when they send people back? Mike, you work at the sheriff's office.
She was extradited.
Extradited.
Yes, thank you.
Deportation.
Extradited.
Yeah, extradited. Yeah.
Well,
to the US.
deport on there and extradite on our end.
Right. But that's what happened. Yeah, they brought her back here, and she's in prison. And you know, people read the story. They're like, this woman, she's an ass for doing it. And you know what? I will defend Pat till the day I die because she was always very good to us. Whenever we signed our recording contract, first of all, Pat would lay out these humongous spreads for us for our shows, man. Post and after shows. We would have like these crazy parties at their house after shows. And she would like iron all our clothes, make sure that we got everything we need, you know, for our shows, etc. And, you know, to me, she was always great. She was fantastic. In fact, she was the first person from that area to come visit me. I mean, she was there, I think, that day or the next day after I broke my back. I just remember opening one eye and there's Pat next to me holding my hand, you know. So even though she did all that, I got nothing bad to say about her. I really don't. But it's funny how that happens, you know, and it sort of reminded me like, okay, this is a much bigger level because OJ killed 2 people. But, you know, like people who were friends with OJ before the murders and were still friends afterwards, I can kind of, like once this happened with Pat, I can kind of understand, you know, even though he murdered 2 people, like he didn't do it to you. If that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, empathy. You gotta. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I think she fell on the shovel.
So like I said, man, it was funny because people were blasting her in the paper, or you know, I went like online and you know how people leave anonymous comments and shit.
Let's just defend OJ now.
Yeah, but they were just slamming her left and right, and I was just like, look, honestly, I've known this woman for like the longest time, and like she always had a very mysterious side to her, you know. And now we know why, but I don't really have anything bad to say about her, you know. So that's where that is. But that's what you saying Dubai brought that made that pop in my mind. Hopefully we'll be going through that place. Actually, no, maybe Dubai is a little further south.
Doesn't Dubai have the tallest building in the world?
Dubai is like huge. They have like a gigantic indoor skiing resort.
I want to be right. I don't want to be dumb.
Now that could be Thailand too. Thailand's got a lot of that.
I think Dubai has the tallest building, not tower, but building.
We could Google that, but I don't want to slow down our stream.
I'll do it.
There you go. Did you see that gigantic indoor ski resort they have in Dubai?
Please be right.
Mike?
I have not seen it, but it sounds
Dude,
fantastic.
it's freaking huge. It's like taking Monroeville Mall and Century 3 Mall and part of the waterfront and putting it all together and making it like 6 or 7 or 8 stories high, whatever it was. It's gigantic. And it's like temperature control inside, and they make snow and everything. It's a ski resort in a freaking desert. It's pretty wild.
It's amazing. Doesn't it bum you out when you see stuff like that? Because we don't do that here. and you're just like, oh, I wish our people could build that kind of stuff.
Dude, I say that all the time.
We can't even keep our bridges in good condition, though.
I know. Did you see the one building? A friend of mine posted it. Where did it? Was
the
it
Burj Khalifa skyscraper in Dubai.
Dubai, there you go.
Ah,
Well, I
that's
said
right.
it doesn't surprise me because Dubai's got a lot of they got the biggest, coolest buildings in the world, man. Where's that one building that's all like underwater? Do you know which one I'm talking about? Have you seen that one, Mike?
Mm-mm.
I have not.
That's
Atlantis.
No, well,
We've talked about Atlantis on the show before.
it's a hotel. It's a hotel actually, and I think it might be Atlantis. I don't remember what the name of it. It would make sense. wouldn't
Yeah.
it? But yeah, it's all like underwater, man. So like your entire wall is the ocean, sharks swimming by and shit. You wake up,
That's
there you
pretty
go.
cool.
It's fucking badass.
That is.
I bet
That's
it's expensive.
Oh, you know it is.
Until the shark crashes through that glass in 3D.
Yeah. That's always my fear. Even like I'm such a
I'd go down there and watch Jaws.
I'm such a wuss when it comes to like reptiles. I hate snakes. I got a fear of snakes. And I really do,
Snakes
man.
aren't too bad. I hate
And-
spiders.
See, they don't bother me. They like little,
Wow.
except for the ones that can
Wow.
actually kill you. But
I don't like creepy crawlies. They just, they're just
well, I don't
unnatural.
surround myself
I don't like
with
them.
them either. But I don't think
Yeah, you
about them.
don't swim in a sea of like scorpions. Well, scorpions aren't bad, but spiders are nasty.
Scorpions are pretty bad. I don't think I want to be stung with one of those. But I like the band.
Centipedes. Oh god, centipedes.
So Mike, who was your? I'm sorry, we were supposed to
I don't
do
even
this
like
interview
ants.
with Mike.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I forgot.
I told you we end up talking about all kinds of
Are
stuff.
you gonna do a drum solo? We should do a drum solo.
I wonder what that would even sound like.
Probably terrible, but you
I don't
know.
know I don't know how it would sound on here. But you know what, Mike, you have actually I posted all your stuff to our website, and
Cool.
yeah, it's all there. People can see. You have also your own YouTube page where it seems like you're uploading some kind of one video or another like almost every day.
I'm pretty busy with the videos, yeah. I've become the Kim Kardashian of drummers.
Big ass drums? Is that what you're saying?
Ah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait till you see my photo spread.
I know you're also you recently have been attacking the double bass, my man. I've seen that.
I am not a fan of the double bass. Your brother is an exceptional double bass player, by the way.
I see. What is it? Yeah, he's good. He's pretty good. But I don't like to tell him that because then his head will get even bigger.
well, it's good. I'm there always to keep him in check.
Yeah, you got to keep him in check. Drummers. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, we always joke around with drummers because like it's kind of a musician kind of joke. You know, I'm sure you've heard them all, Mike being a drummer. But it was like the Grenadis. Do you remember the Grenadis? G-Force.
I do remember the Grenade. Yes.
Yeah, awesome
yes.
musicians, man. It's a family of musicians. Calabrazans, all of them. Is that the word? Calabrazans? People from Calabrese? Calabrasians, whatever. But they're really good musicians. In fact, they opened up for Van Halen back in 1970s, if you remember that. And my understanding,
I didn't know that.
well, my understanding is that's kind of where they blew their gig because they were asked by Van Halen. Now this is a rumor. Maybe I'll get Joey on here one at a time or Dave. But supposedly they were told by Van Halen management not to do any Van Halen covers, and they did one anyway. So
I wonder if he would like any of
it's
our.
kind of
music.
weird to do a cover of a band who's going to follow you.
I said I wonder if he would like any of our music that Chubb and I did.
Who? Mike?
Our guest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike
Michael.
would. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't know.
by the way, Mike,
I would love to
Mike,
hear some of that.
do you remember when you lent your cymbals? Mike was looking to sell all of his cymbals. This is back in 1992, 3, somewhere around there. And
Yeah, somewhere around there. And Chubba broke them all.
yes, he mangled them.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, Chubb was the new drummer in the band at the time, and Mike was hanging out with us. So yeah, it must have been 93 then when you and I met, Mike, because
Yep.
at the Army Commissary of all places. Who knew? But yeah, so Chubba was already in the band, and he was the new drummer. And but his cymbals were hurting. So Mike had all these beautiful, I think Sabians. Is that what you had?
They were Zilligans,
They were
actually.
Zildjian? Okay.
Yeah.
And I learned what Sabian stands for, though. It's Sally, Billy, and Andy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sally, Billy, and Andy. I knew that one. I went out looking for cymbals for Chubb the one day, and one of the guys was telling me the history of freaking Sabians, because I made the mistake of asking him, like, should I get him Zildjians or Sabians? And he just went on for about 20 minutes talking about Sabian. And apparently Sabian, Sally, Billy, and Andy were all part of Zildjian, and then they left.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. So Sabians are actually made by Zildjians.
Right. But ooh, there goes my knowledge. But, so anyway, so Mike was looking to sell all his symbols, but he figured, you know what, in the meantime, while I'm looking to sell them, go ahead, you can use my symbols. Well, I think this was the days though when Chubb was playing with the big marching sticks.
Yeah.
Do you remember
He
that?
was.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
Chubba used to take lessons from my friend Gary, Gary's like biggest influence growing up to become a drummer was John Bonham. So he really liked that heavy, he played, dude, whenever Gary and I actually put a band together at one time, and we had to quit because nobody could hear anything. All we heard was Gary. and we had a PA system, Mike. We had a freaking PA system, and we still couldn't hear anything but Gary.
That's what happens when I go over and we practice.
Yeah,
at
it's
his
annoying,
house.
isn't it? So,
And then he plays louder because he thinks he can't hear himself over my guitar amp.
It's the
I
never-ending
turn
duel
myself
between
up.
guitars and drums.
I could always beat him though. I could always crank mine all the way up.
Yours goes to 11.
To 11.
To 11, yeah. But so Mike lends Chubba the cymbals, right? And Chubba used them, I think, for like a half a dozen shows, if even that many.
Yeah. And every week, a new one would, like, every week he'd be like, I broke the china. I broke the crash. I broke the ride cymbal.
Eventually,
He break a ride cymbal.
He did. They were all mashed up, dude. They look like freaking waves. So, but Chubba doesn't remember this story. He doesn't remember this. I told him, I said, dude, you destroyed his cymbals. He's like, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. And I remember he showed up like $250 or $300, whatever it was, all sheepishly. And he was like, here you go, Mike. I destroyed all your cymbals. You remember that? It was right on.
I remember that.
It was on the steps going down into the basement. That's where, at the bottom of the steps, he's like, here you go, Mike. I'm sorry, man. I just destroyed them all.
And that covered the cost of like one cymbal.
Basically.
Well, I'm borrowing all of his cymbals right now for my drum set, so.
Oh God. Things going full circle.
I could get revenge if you want me to. He's probably watching this right now and he's gonna come back.
You know what?
Take him back.
Chubb, if you're watching, ha! I told you so.
Yeah. That's as good as the Buddy Rich's grandkid story.
Oh yeah, that was another good one. You know that one, right, Mike? I'm calling him Mike. I don't know who's who. Brian, why am I even looking at you? I can look at you right there.
Yeah.
You're in black and white.
I don't even
here.
need to look at you.
No, you
I'll
don't.
just look
But I feel wrong if I'm talking to the screen, even though you and I are making eye contact on the screen.
Yeah.
When we're next to one another. It's a new generation. This is how they all communicate. I go out. It's funny. Like I'll ride through a park in my hand cycle and shit. And I'll see people sitting next, like boyfriend and girlfriend, sitting next to each other on a bench.
They're probably talking to each other.
Yeah, they're both
Skyping.
They're both texting or whatnot. You know?
They're Skyping with each other.
I'm just
while
like,
they're next
do
to
you
each
people
other.
have conversations or do you just send memes to one another?
You know, I can't talk smack on that because when I go over to Chubb's and like there's 4 of us over there, we could be talking, hanging out. we're all doing this.
See, Mike, I
sometimes pretty much every time it happens, I bring it up. I'm like, why aren't we like talking to each other? We're all just on this piece of technology, like mindless drones.
That's how it is, man. That's how it is. Sometimes I feel that, Mike, I feel you and I were born at the best time, because we got to hang out. We got to just experience just each other. You know what I mean? Without distractions from, oh, hang on, I got a tweet coming in, or you know what I mean?
You're right. You're exactly right. We knew how we have people skills.
Yes.
That those kids today don't have.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Perfect example, right here. This is fun. I'm comfortable with this.
But then other times, I think to myself, imagine what you and I could have done if we were born with this technology and we were like 10, 12 years old.
Less.
We would probably be in prison.
Well, we would have been born with today's mindset, though. We wouldn't have been born, with the anarchist of the 80s,
Right, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I always looked at
And
so
I
my
think to myself,
favorite user of
musically,
technology.
I'm talking musically. Like, could you imagine being 10, 12 years old and having your own studio?
Oh, it would be fantastic. I
Yeah.
will say that for every bad thing that's happened to the music industry because of technology, there is a plus side because anybody and everybody could produce
Yes.
their own music and get it out to an audience. The problem is there's way too much crap that's being produced.
Well,
So if we can find a way to
oversaturation.
filter that out. Right, exactly. People don't value music like they used to.
Well, you know what? Did you see the article that I posted about Trent Reznor?
I did not, but I follow him.
Oh, I
He's
love
in
Trent.
total control of all his stuff.
Yeah, I freaking love Trent. To me, like, he's.
Yeah.
I love that guy, but he had he was interviewed. I forget which magazine or whatnot, but it was one of these online deals. And in there, he said, "Look, people just don't want to buy music anymore. Period. You know, I mean,
You're right. You're right.
And you know, me as a musician, I'm a little bit coming from the angle that I was sort of given a middle finger by the music industry itself a little bit after I broke my back. You know, I had to deal with some bullshit because of that. So whenever the whole file sharing came along and the industry took a big hit, I'll be real honest with you. Inside, I loved it. I love every second of it because musicians have been ripped off, controlled for centuries. I mean, first it was the Catholic Church who controlled all the great musicians. I mean, unless you worked for the Catholic Church in one form or another, you weren't going to be a Mozart, Beethoven, Haydn, any of those guys. Bach, it wasn't going to happen. But then the recording industry came along, and they screwed artists. Now I know that there were artists who made a lot of money, but you got to understand, for every Led Zeppelin or Elvis Presley, there are a million people who got completely screwed over. And even if they were signed to deals by these labels,
Eye contact, why?
These labels did not push them at all. Okay, and this is what people don't understand who have never dealt with a business in any form other than just to turn on their favorite radio station or iTunes or whatever. That you weren't given a choice. There were about 5 or 6 bands that every label was going to push every year. That's it. About half a dozen, they were going to put all their basket into that. And the other bands, they were nothing more than just a write-off for the recording for that company. So the fact that they fell apart and they took a hit, I love it. How do you feel? I mean, I love it.
Lars Ulrich.
I think it's great. I tell you what, I can't believe we've already gone 2 hours.
We have. Holy shit.
We have gone 2 hours.
See, it's easy, man.
That's why I suggested that. Because if we would have done this in 1 hour, it wouldn't have worked very well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is.
Well, I think that I think at the risk of inviting myself back, I think we should do this again.
Oh, I think you're welcome anytime you want to.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do it at 9 again, right?
Yeah.
But this is fun because now we have plenty of time to figure shit out.
If we do it like Fridays at 9 or whatever, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just think your guys' wit and candor is absolutely fabulous.
Well, thank you. Mike, you and I think...
I'll say thank you, too, because you said you guys. So.
Yins guys.
I'll take 50% of that credit.
See, he lost a Pittsburgher in him. He didn't say Yins guys.
Yins guys.
That's right. Sorry, Yins.
Yins.
That's right.
Yins and that.
Sitting downtown.
Oh, Jesus. You know what the funny thing is? Every time we did our shows with the Big Bad Wolf days, Billy would always get up there and say, y'all. And I hate y'all every bit as much as I hate Yins. I hate them both.
I love Yins. I say it to mock.
Yeah, well, yeah. I
Yins.
do it mockingly, but I mean, I'll say you guys. I can't stand y'all, and I hate Yins even more. Even though I grew up in Pittsburgh, for the last 30 years I've been here.
What about folks? You folks.
You folks. Hey, y'all there. That's folks.
I like to use old English and just say die before everything.
That works.
I don't know Old English. Sorry.
No?
I can't chime in on this
These
one.
young kids today.
It's all about
you know
New
why?
English.
Because they didn't watch Star Trek.
I didn't.
Ye old child knows nothing.
No, Brian's good, man. I'll tell you what, he's well ahead of his years. He really is.
He is impressive. I think that he's impressive. I can't wait to hear his music.
You got to hear him. Well, I mean, he played guitar on the intro. Of course, I don't know how much you heard of that.
I actually communicate a lot easier through music than talking.
Well, the funny thing about Brian, he is a very good guitar player, but
I know.
But he doesn't like to do shit in 4/4.
No.
He's
Never.
one of those guys like everything has to
I
be like
can't.
6/8 or some crazy.
Even if I'm just like messing around, like just kind of strumming random riffs, it's never 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm always like, no.
Yeah, it's all good.
Odd time signatures are sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a hint for figuring out what the secret in the intro is. What we're talking about right now. And if you figure it out and laugh, you're just as immature as Chubb and myself.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it now.
Yeah. But okay, well, it is 11 o'clock, so we've gone 1 hour and 58 minutes. Because we started 2 minutes late.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
But I figured it's gonna take us 2 minutes to sign
You'll have
off.
to. I'll have to add you on Facebook. You're friends, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because then I can send MP3s
Absolutely.
of our songs.
Yeah, Mike. Also, I would want to let people know that on top of all the other things Mike did, he did some stuff for me. When I was stuck in bed and made my Mind of Adam movie. Mike did the voiceover for that. Though I had to change his voice a little bit because I was looking for a certain sound, But that was Mike doing a voiceover. Did it what with your iPhone, right?
Yeah, actually, I did do it with an iPhone.
Yeah, but it sounded good. I was going to do the voiceover myself, but I was laying on a Clinitron bed, which is a very, very loud bed. I mean, literally, it's like laying on a jet engine. It's that freaking loud. So.
Wish you would have known me at that point. I would have done it.
Well, but I didn't. And I knew Mike, and Mike had his iPhone, and he sent it back, and we did make one. It was my mistake. It was my mistake in there. And, I saw it, and I'm like, damn. But it was already, the film was rendered. I was done with it, so I said, all right, screw it. It's staying in there. But, yeah, you did that.
It turned out great.
Yeah, I thought it turned out pretty cool. And thank you for doing that, by the way. And you also did some of the mocking drums in there. You've also you've done loop samples. Was that loop samples or live kit that you did for like
both
on water? Is it water ice? I don't even remember my own.
Both.
Yeah.
Live and loops. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still have.
And I'm looking forward to the Monkeys with Technology project.
Yeah, you know what? I got to get the around the world thing going, and that's where all my focus is right now. And I'm waiting. I can't talk about it too much, but I have something going. Well, maybe I can tell you, Mike, when we're off here sometime. But I have something working in there with an organization that is going to happen in Pittsburgh, and I'm kind of going to be one of their poster boys for it.
I know about it.
Yeah, you know about it.
I could spoil everything right now.
Yeah, you could, but I'll deny it
all.
I will deny it all. I deny all of it.
I won't do it.
Thank you. So, if that happens, that's
like
gonna give me the chance and the opportunity to head out to LA and to find the agents and etc. that I'm gonna need to put the around the world project together. And then once we do that, then I'll have the money because right now that's the thing I ran into is Erica works a lot. Robert works a lot. Hell, everybody is busy, and I don't expect anybody to do it for free, And I'm not saying I could pay millions or whatever, but I feel like especially Erica and Robert are going to do an awful lot of work, directing and editing and all that stuff.
Sure.
And for me to not be able to pay them is kind of like eh. So, but right now I just don't have the funds for that because I'm all about the around the world thing. See that map behind me? Oh no, you don't. You can't see it. But there's a world map behind me. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
So, but I'm looking forward to doing that. I tell you, another guy we got to get on is Ricky Kong.
Ricky Kong, yeah, Ricky Doubles.
Yes, Ricky Doubles, man, that dude. I tell you what, his mixes are crazy. He is a really good DJ. I consider him a musician. I really do. I don't consider him a DJ because the stuff he does is just absolutely. First of all, he uses 3 turntables. I can't even mix with one. You know what I mean?
Right.
He spins 3 records. It's just mind-boggling. I know he's like from the old school generation of DJs, and he actually was like understudy over in like Chicago. He learned from the hardcore guys, So the dude's just absolutely badass. So he's another guy. I don't expect him to fly into Pittsburgh on his own dime from LA. So, but I'd love to have him on as a guest. But he's a bit of an introvert, so I think with him I'm gonna have to pull some teeth.
Well, I've had a great time tonight, and I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Mike, we loved having you on, buddy, and we're gonna do it again. You know what?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm gonna leave it open to you. Really, anytime you want to come on and be part of the show, except maybe when we have like another live guest, because boy, we had hard enough time just getting one person on with a external video camera.
Yeah.
How many musicians does it take to get a webcam going?
Well, as many as it takes to find the tech guy who can make it happen.
That's right. That's right.
So you have to find the solution, the math answer for that.
Right on. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna sign off then. But yeah, I'm gonna take you up on your offer, and I'm gonna keep watching because the ABC show is great. It's fantastic.
Thanks, buddy.
You could probably promote us too.
Yes.
Just by being
absolutely.
We need all the viewers we can get.
Well,
I'm gonna start promoting as soon as I sign off.
Awesome.
Cool, buddy. All right, great seeing you.
We'll pay you, and kudos.
Bye, Mike. Take care, buddy. All right. So that concludes another successful episode. I don't know. I think this was actually a really fun episode.
Yeah, this was awesome. Let's hope everything turns out sounding good at least.
Yeah, that's the great equalizer.
It sounded good when I kind of listened to it.
Oh, then I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, this is awesome.
All right, we
All
need
right,
an
guys,
outro.
so
We need an outro now.
We're what?
We need an outro.
Oh, that's right. We do. Can we just play the same one going out? Yeah, it's kind of weak. How about we just say goodbye? How about I just go?
We could play the audio and just like we could play the audio so it's in the background because right now the video is behind.
Yeah, we could
behind us.
Yeah,
so
you're right. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna go there, and then we just hit that. Right?
Yeah.
And then they're not gonna see it, right?
Nope.
Yeah, because it's okay. Well,
here we go.
All right, so we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to sign off to everyone.
All right, this is our outro.
It's our outro.
It's playing, and you're listening
To the ABC show.
ABC show. Signing off.
See you, suckers.